Hello, hello, hello everyone, and welcome to another live stream with me, 320 Sim Pilot. Great to see you all here. Thank you for taking the time out to come and watch along as we fly from here in Melbourne, where we last arrived in our A350 on the last long haul stream. That was a long evening, I remember it well. And we arrived here, and now it's time to take our 320 from here over to the Gold Coast. A few reasons why we're going to do that. We'll talk about it. The first officer's already joining us. That's pretty early. Hello. That's good. So there's two of us to start off the flight. So it's somewhere that I haven't been before in real life, but somewhere I want to travel to a lot. So I've accelerated time. We've time traveled into the future. This is the sunrise we're seeing here. It's obviously very early in the morning over in Australia. Terrible planning and timing on my part, but I wanted to do this flight. I couldn't make the timings work quite this time to be a decent time in Australia. So sadly, this is where we've ended up. Let me just adjust my seat so the first officer does actually fit. There we go. Otherwise, she's poor thing can't fit between my legs and the desk. Right. So there we go. So this is the lovely sunrise. If we zoom over here, we'll find our retro Qantas A320 sat parked up waiting to go. Now, I haven't got the drone view that I normally like to have running here, so we're going to have to make do. But yeah, absolutely lovely livery. Link is in the description for the video. We love the cheat line, of course, and really nice tail. Really just simple, classic. There's the kangaroo on the back. Absolutely brilliant. So thank you all for coming along to the live stream. I already owe Hayden J. Robbins, thank you so much for your £3.20 donation. Really appreciate it. Hayden says, throw another prawn on the barbie, safe travels. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much, Hayden. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Dougal, for coming along and moderating. Good to see you here. Hello to Deep Future, to Philip Osbears, to Andy H1302. Thanks for coming and moderating. And Chickpoint and Dave Hagan. Yes, we will be on VatSim. And Danny Rubel, good to see you. So we are going to be on VatSim. There'll be no controllers. It's just middle of the night, basically, in Australia. We wouldn't expect any. It's entirely my fault. But if there's a few of you flying along, then we'll be able to see you in VatSim land. Piano Learner, thanks for coming along as always. Marcel Dupre, I hope you're doing well. And Fly Sky Airways, Off the Ice, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming. And Ewan, Thorsten, Johannes B, great to see you guys. Thank you all for taking the time. Matthew, Julian, Fetzi, I hope you're all doing well. And thanks, of course, to Dougal, Victor, Tango, and Andy for coming along and moderating. I would like to ask if we keep Formula One spoilers. I know there was a race today, of course. If we could keep those spoilers out of the chat for this one. I know it's ridiculous that the race has already happened and it's finished and now I'm sat here streaming and that is my fault. I don't have a Sky, so I can't see it live. In the UK, the only way to see races live now is if you have Sky, which I don't have, so I haven't seen it. So I'll watch the highlights which go on to Channel 4 later tonight. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys can avoid them in chat. I know lots of people want to talk about it, so I do apologise. But the way it is that I haven't got Sky, so you guys all have to suffer and not talk about it. I can only apologise. Duncan, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming. Zephyr as well. Zephyr says, for your information, the fly-by-wire dev build is more advanced than experimental. Yeah, and I was wondering why this hasn't been updated for a few times. But we're going to run with the experimental today, and then we'll swap it over pretty soon if I need to the dev build. Traditionally, the experimental's been further ahead, so I don't know what's happened. I suppose, work just changes the area. The Sledge, good to see you, and let me just check something. There we go. Right. And Lauren V, I hope you're doing well. Simon C, you as well. Vati2, thanks for coming along. And it is incredibly early. 33JTM says Australian here. Fantastic. Well done. You're doing well. Thanks for getting up so early or staying up so late, whichever way around it is. Doc Retro, good to see you. Loads and loads of names. I can only apologise. But yeah, any questions, guys, keep them for the cruise. We've got a bit of a longer cruise today, so we should be in a good place to carry on from there. John says, I don't have Sky either, so I don't know the result. Exactly, perfect. So there's a few of us here. Daniel says that one car won the race. Excellent. And Dougal says, it's me too. Me too is the only way to I get to watch F1. Yeah, exactly. So that's how I'm going to do it. Right, guys, thank you all so much. So let's get ourselves started. So we're going to jump into the flight deck. Cold and dark aeroplane. It's been a while. We haven't streamed. It's been not what I wanted. I wanted to stream more this week. We've managed a few videos in the BAE 146 since our last stream, and we did have a 320 video, so I hope you guys enjoyed that, where I talked about stopping the 320 this week. I haven't been able to do too much with the live streams, but Sunday afternoon still are traditional. We're still managing our Sunday afternoon streams. So what I'm going to do is get it powered up, and I've already turned on the iPad to tune in the route. So let's see where we are. We have obviously got the external power. So let's bring on some ground services. Let's do this properly. Let's start treating this like we would an X-plane. Let's not accept any problems here. So if I press passengers, there comes the jet bridge. Let us get the external power connected. They can open the door, the baggage. Let's call the fueler. I want to see some ground movement now. I'm not putting up with it anymore. It's time we see it. It still looks like the flight surfaces move. I noticed the livery painter on this one gave us these really nice chrome shiny wings, so that's good fun. Very reminiscent of our own Manta retro livery by Paddy, of course. So that is all happening, and there's a ground power unit coming on. Right, so onto the flight deck. We do our security checks, of course. So engine master's off, motor select norm, landing gear lever down, wiper selectors off, batteries are checked and in auto. So there's the voltage all good. Electrical system's been updated, I believe, so it's really running nicely now. And then we can turn on the external power. Great stuff. So let's get some lights on while we wait for that. It's going to get brighter and brighter as we go. I've got live weather running. I've just accelerated time slightly further ahead as well, just to make it work. So 33JTM says, I stayed up to watch F1, so here I am until I get tired. Fantastic. There you go. The Sledge had Discord video playing in Discord too. How interesting. I'm not broadcasting in Discord, am I? I don't mean to be if I am. That could be a bit embarrassing. There we go. Yeah, the chrome is very nice. So let us also set up our camera view for the aeroplane flight. I'm a big fan of these ones. Look at that chrome. Yeah, that's pretty good. We'll go with that one again. So that is all coming online. Let's brighten up the standby. So fly-by-wire, I've been hard at work, of course. We've got a much more in-depth electrical system. I've been messaged about the braking system getting updated very soon as well. So I'm looking forward to trying that out in a future video. So whilst that is powering up, let's just briefly jump into here. I think the options are all done, actually. So it's going to be MCDU menu, ATSU, AOC, init, and hopefully it will find our flight. We're going from Melbourne to the Gold Coast. Confusingly written YBCG and not YBGC, Gold Coast. That's what I would have expected, but there we go. Let's go do performance, weight, and balance. Required fuel, 6.2 required. You know what it's like for us. I don't trust the fuel loading. SimBrief now has a 320 fuel loading. So in theory, this should be more, 320 NEO fuel loading. So this should be a bit more accurate. So let's just up it to 7 tons. Why do I keep doing that? 7. There we go. Load. And I'm hoping that will top up to 7 tons, which it pretty much has. 6.5. Yeah. So we'll give ourselves a bit extra. No air traffic to worry about those. So we'll just be diving in whatever happens. So that is all loaded. Then we'll go to the next page. And there's all our loading. So let's just send the request. Make sure it's all loaded in and load. Great. It's getting so easy now to set up the fly-by-wire. It's really nice. Okay, back into the seat then. Running the external power. Let's start getting through the flows. That switch still hasn't been sorted, I see. We'll set these to nav. Then we'll come down here. Strobe lights to auto. Nav lights on. Let's put the no smoking to auto. Is that not fixed yet? No, it still doesn't travel the full amount. There we go. Fuel's on, so seatbelt signs coming on. Up here, we'll turn on the fuel pumps. And I think it's time we fire up the APU. That flashing light is quite distracting. That's from the from that ground power unit over there. Dan says, "Hi mate, hope you're well. Question: I'm not sure if varies per company, but in real life, a pilot's required to be vaccinated for COVID. I'd imagine tested at the very least. Testing in the UK is pretty much required at the moment. Yet lots of testing is going on for pilots flying during COVID. Vaccines haven't been rolled out to all ages yet, so they're not at that stage in the UK. Yeah, whether or not it'll be required in the future, I don't know." Sean, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. We're on the, not the dev version. This is the experimental version, for anyone wondering. Yeah, so there we go. Right. Oh, here's the fuel. So this is what happens on the fuel truck arrives. We've already done our fuel, so we'll ignore that. So that should be sitting outside. There we go. All coming together. Might just up the sound. I can't really hear anything. Don't know what's going on. Jump inside. Yeah, that's a great livery. Oh, I love it when the tail lights are on the logo as well. Really nice. I have not tried the CJ4 mod. Apparently it's implemented VNav. Excellent. I heard LNav is coming to this mod as well. Has that already happened? I'm falling very behind. I must confess. I need to get more up to date with the modded versions. All right, let's brighten those up. And let's do the integral lights. There we go. Right, so then we fire up the APU. We would, of course, have done our APU fire test. Before we do that, we can do our engine fire tests. All looking good. We'll come down here. Not much to do there. Just make sure nothing's in a silly position. And then we're going to set the QNH. There you go, 1019. We'll sort out this panel shortly, but we will have constraints. Flight directors on, and constraints. Screens are on bright, that's fine. That's our fuel. We would check that the fuel has gone into the right tanks. So it is 28 on each side with 700 just about in the outer tanks. Absolutely perfect. Any more systems pages available? No, but the electric one is all working really well now. So now I know they've assigned all the switches and systems to the correct electrical system. So if you turn off the wrong engine, or not the wrong engine, an engine, you might lose the electrics on that side. So it will affect the relevant systems, which is really good to see. Yeah, it's they've worked really well. Thanks so much, FlySky Airways, for your £2 donation. Really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming along, and thank you for making the pair's first appearance today. Really appreciate it. So I hope you're doing well, FlySky, and thanks for coming along to this stream. Let me just zoom down here. So sorry if I'm missing things in the chat. Brandon M, good to see you. Pilot Stud, another YouTuber. Thanks, Pilot Stud, for coming along. I hope you're doing well. I am doing well here as well. Aviation TV UK, thank you for coming. I'm doing very well. No LNAV yet. No, I didn't think so. That's going to be quite a big deal when it does come. I can't wait for lateral navigation to be sorted out. Right, anyway, if I get rid of the electrical page, it should default to the APU unless it's already up and running, which it is. So we're going to just let that warm up a bit before we turn on the APU bleed. A relatively recent Airbus recommendation, but it just stops any oil getting into the bleed air for us. Good stuff. Right, so coming down here, make sure we got QNH set on there. Anti-skid actually on. We talked a lot about this switch in my last video, if any of you haven't seen it, talking about braking and how we stop the Airbus as quickly as possible if we need to. And AccuBrake pressure is all looking good. We're going to finish up the MCDU in a minute. Down here, everything in the right place. Get the door to lock. And auto 1 on altitude reporting. That's it. And we'll set this to all. That's good. The radio panels seem to be left. They seem to power up on by default now, which is really good. It didn't do that before. And I'm just going to turn on my master switch. There we go. Right. So that's all coming together. Lauren V says, I miss being able to import massive long routes in the Toliss, especially since I've been doing a lot of XLR max range flights. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you start to miss a couple of things. You do get used to it being quite so simple as it is in here these days. The captain's graphics put my machine to shame, says Tom Coyne. Oh, that's a shame, Tom. Yeah, my I appreciate that my computer's a little bit more powerful than than most people, so I do get that luxury. So yeah, I can't ever complain at the quality of the visuals in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It really always looks excellent. No, we'll be on VATSIM today, Amarga, and good day indeed to you. Maxo says, did you also want to be a pilot when you were younger? Absolutely. Always, always, always. So that's it. Okay. Lauren V says, custom LNAV coming to custom version first before dev. When they start getting that one rolling, they'll want that to be the most advanced version again. Right, I'm with you now. Excellent. First Officer Jaden says, sir, I want you to pay the RHD Sim A320 and review it in X-Plane 11. It only costs €6. I haven't seen it. I can't promise I'll do that just because I get a lot of airplanes to get through. But I'll have a look. Thanks, First Officer Jaden. Van Raj Prasad, thank you for coming. I hope you're doing well. Hello to you. And Giuseppe, good to see you, Giuseppe. I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming along. Okay, I did not take part in the VATSIM across the pond. I don't know, did any of you guys do that? I'm really sorry. I couldn't get around to it. It's and I never applied anyway, so they wouldn't have let me. Right, let's get the MCDU loaded before I get in trouble. It's been 15 minutes. Oh, we got to get going. So let's do our init request. Excellent. Alternate is YAMB. No idea where that is. I do apologise. This is totally new. So this is the first time we're taking this channel properly international. We have done one flight to Bonaire, so we did a little bit of Caribbean flying. Now we're doing a flight in Australia in the 320. So yeah, Constant X16 all the way up to our maximum flight of 390. No problem. Winds we can load in shortly. I'll put in the component. IRS is all aligning. That's good stuff. Let's go to the... I should of course have done data. All looking good and current. Init A, flight plan. So departure from here, let me just grab the weather as we would do. So weather request, there's no ATIS here, so let's just grab the METAR for YMML, Melbourne. Last time we were here, I'd streamed for 11.5 hours or something like that, and I was pretty tired, I remember, which is why I'm on this stand, which is where we just parked. It was the closest stand after rolling off the runway. Oh yeah, no, we actually have to print it, of course. Receive messages, METAR, print. And let's go back to our flight plan. So no air traffic control to ruin our plans. So today we can simply choose our runway, which I always like doing. See, maybe I'm just specifically avoiding air traffic control and we'll start flying wherever it isn't available. Maybe that's maybe that's a good plan for the future. John Padfield says, you got that 3080. If I wasn't saving for flight school, I might be tempted to pay the scalper prices. Yeah, no, it's not worth the scalper prices. I got it from a retailer, a normal retailer, before it went really crazy. It's really good, but I've got a friend who's got a 2080 Ti, and I know these are, again, top-end graphics cards, and not everyone has them, but the real strain for Microsoft Flight Simulator is in the processor, and my processor is the problem more than my graphics card is, so you don't need a 3080 at the moment, I don't think, anyway. So there you go. Yeah, this could be a record time of setting up at this rate, yeah. But there we go. What does the autopilot do when following the flight plan if that's not LNAV, says Daniel Winter? It is LNAV, so what I mean is I want the improved LNAV, so we're using the default Microsoft Flight Simulator lateral navigation in this airplane. What I would like to see is the full-on custom one that will follow and be a bit more reliable. It's the reliability that frustrates me sometimes with the default Microsoft Flight Simulator lateral navigation. So we want to go out via NONIX. That was where I flight planned. Let's bring up the charts for you guys, which I can forget, and leave on screen for the rest of the stream. There we go. So there we go. Right, so which runway do we want to depart from? The wind at Melbourne is very light southwesterly. So probably runway 34. We'll taxi down, take off northerly up to Rockdale, Sally, and from Sally we can go to NONIX. So let's depart from 34. Who's going to stop us, eh? Nobody. And then we'll scroll down. Only one NONIX. I do like that. So in a second I'm going to whinge about something. There we go. So that's our departure. Let's just make sure it makes sense. So go to plan, zoom in, and there it is, straight ahead to Rockdale as we saw, and then hopefully Sally and NONIX. There they are, Sally, and keep going, keep going. Oh no, I've left it on. No, you guys can't see it. There we go. Right, Sally, NONIX, and there it is, NONIX. So that all looks good. So, next step. Next step is, let me just get the right screen up so I can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so what is our stop altitude on that departure? Let's have a look. There's not a whole load of information. Okay, I'll do it now. I want to whinge about these charts here. This airport has more charts than I've ever seen. I am really, really surprised. So I've had this problem recently with this SimBrief, actually, where it doesn't zoom in properly. Okay, so there we go. Look, we're going up to NONIX, and it's got maximum 250 knots below 10,000 feet. Transition altitude very high, 10,000 feet. So, you know, which I'm trying to get used to other parts of the world, because otherwise my streams are always in Europe. So transition altitude in Europe, often 7,000 feet, somewhere there. It's 10,000 feet, it seems to be here in Australia, which is great. Jets only, runways northeast, that's all fine. Departure elevation just 400 feet. So we're going to put 10,000 feet in, but I'm not entirely sure if they have any climb restrictions, but it looks to me like air traffic control would do it. We're departing from 34, and there you go. It just says and then as cleared, so it doesn't seem to have too much to say. But what I want to complain about is the amount of charts they have managed to construct. Again, Amsterdam has far more runways. This place only has 2 runways, and we have the most charts I've ever seen. Here we go. Look at this. This is the charts, and this is what pilots will have to deal with especially when there's roadworks and maintenance. Look at this, and what happens is they'll have a NOTAM saying roadworks activated by NOTAM, and then there should be a NOTAM that the pilots will read hidden amongst pages and pages of NOTAMs, because we get the NOTAMs for every airport and every en route alternate, and it's a lot of paperwork. And this has come up before. It's come up in incidents as well of there being too much paperwork for it to be practical, and this is a classic example to me. It just goes on and on and on, and a lot of it is not very pertinent information. Basically, we follow air traffic control's instructions, but look at this, trying to interpret all this. It's great if you're based at the airport, but for pilots visiting, that is quite a lot of paperwork. I'm really amazed how many pages there were to scroll through. So yeah, so that's my whinging over. So there we go. We're parked up here, and we are going to head off and head south, pretty much down Alpha. Dead easy. So we don't need to read all the 20 pages today. We would, of course, check them, but usually it's to do with roadworks. So if you know you're not going to taxi over those area of roadworks, then you're not too concerned. Right. Let me get rid of the charts. Let's put 10,000 feet in as our stop altitude. Let's get the AP bleed on now that it's warmed up. Let's get rid of the ground power. It's all coming together. All coming together. So that's our departure. We'll fill in the rest when we get a bit further along, but there's our route. Takes us all the way through to the Coast Gold. So secondary, not available. Radnav. Let me just check that chart. I think it was an RNAV. It's a very RNAV departure. There's no navigator. We could even try and use maybe the Mangalore VOR, but I don't see the point because we're not going to go to it. And in real life, the airplane would automatically tune that VOR. So I'm going to leave that blank. In it B time. Again, magic of fly-by-wire. Over it goes. Block fuel. 7 tons. I immediately forgot. 7.0. Gives a takeaway 64.5. Pretty reasonable. And a wind component for today's flight of plus 22. So double press that to get the plus 22. TL22 will appear in there. There we go. We've got loads of extra fuel. I actually want an alternate fuel of about 0.9, not 0.3. This is common because that's a straight line to our alternate. So if I put in 0.9, that's a full route. So a go around of route and an approach into the other airport. So we need more fuel than the straight line fuel. 200 taxis should be absolutely fine. Okay. Init B, done. Performance time, massive runway, flaps 1. Transition actually 10,000, which is accurate today. Flex temp, let's go for 65. And we'll put the speeds in. Very standard speeds, nothing exciting to see there. 215 knots clean, that's fine. We're going to accelerate straight up to 250 knots. Good stuff. Let's come down here then. Let's put speed in managed nav, 10,000 feet in the window. And I'll usually display VOR. I like having at least something displayed. And again, it would auto-tune any VOR it thinks is useful at this point. But I'm going to put the terrain display on. Haven't seen any weather concerns today. Great stuff. Right. That's all done. That's all done. Okay. Let me just bring up my checklist. Normally I have this ready. I do apologise. Thankfully, there are plenty available by online through various forums, which makes life a lot easier. Yeah, that's terrible. I nearly always have that pretty much ready to go. Let's see if I can find the one I normally use. What have I done with it? Anyway, right, shouldn't leave it looking at that at the pedestal. Let's get that tug connected and let's fill it up with the last things in here. So call the tug. Dispatch, we have our OFP in there. Fuel is all loaded on reasonably and in the right place. So that's the correct order for it to load. Okay, not much else to do on there. So next thing is just going to be, and there's our route by the way. So we're down here, a little bit of showers to get past, up to the Gold Coast up here, which we'll talk about whilst we're going. So let's go to ground. There's all our ground stuff. Right, jumping into the chat then. Let's see. First officer Jaden says I can wait. No problem.
Pushback from gate Golf 47.
Let's see. Oh, I've missed quite a lot. Panda says, what's strange is that those two fixtures are present in the world map but not within the FMC. Yeah, there are some strange things like that. Vikas, thank you very much for your 40. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to get the currency wrong, but thanks so much, Vikas. Says, we want to try a shared copy session. I haven't tried any yet. It's something I'm thinking about for the future. I've not gotten that far. I know it is possible. I've seen some other YouTubers do it, so it's something I'm considering for the future. If I can find... well, I'll see if there's anyone interested in doing it with me as well. But for now, we're not doing one. But thank you very much for your donation. Really appreciate it, Vikas. And I hope you're doing very well. Thank you for supporting the channel. We are indeed, Toga. Thanks for coming along. We are in the land down under. Right. Zephyr says, when you consider the amendments, supplements, and other circulars relative to AIPs, then there's a tremendous amount of paperwork there. Is indeed. It is crazy how much there is to get through. And like I say, it has been brought up before. What is Troppo on a NIT A, says Timo? So Troppo on a NIT A is the tropopause. So that is where the temperature as you climb reduces by 2 degrees for every 1,000 feet in a standard atmosphere. Not necessarily the real atmosphere. By standard atmosphere, I mean like a model. It's a prediction of what usually happens. The tropopause is where that stops reducing. So it'll drop 2 degrees for every 1,000 feet, and then it gets to the tropopause where it stops reducing, and that's the minimum temperature. And then above that, the temperature stays the same. That means that clouds that form, such as big thunderstorms, will usually stop around about the tropopause. They won't climb higher. So if this tropopause was, say, 50,000 feet, as it can be nearer the equator, then the clouds could be up to 50,000 feet tall, the thunderstorms. In Europe, this is usually a bit lower, sort of down at these levels, maybe even a bit lower, in which case the clouds will usually get down to, be slightly smaller. Now, they can go through the tropopause, especially if they have enough energy. It is possible. But typically, it's that change in temperature that causes the instability that causes them to keep rising. So that's why that's in there. It also, the reason to put that in is it helps with this prediction. So you can see the cruise flight level has been written in as -52. That is the default calculated cruising temperature in the cruise. However, we can look up the actual temperature on the day, and I would do in the real aircraft. So let's see if I can find it here actually. Where is it written on these? So I think in the cruise today, the temperature should be about -57. So it's actually a little bit colder. So let's put that in. I don't know if this works actually in the fly-by-wire. -57. There we go.
Jetstar 105 pushing back.
There's Jetstars. Excellent. Oh yeah, which stand are we on? Let's get our pushback going. What I am going to have to do is just going to run and grab my checklist because I can't believe it's gone missing. We are on stands. We are on Delta 20. Delta 20. Okay, right guys, I'm going to be back in 30 seconds. Let me just go and grab the checklist. I can't believe it's missing. So we're not going to go without that. Be 30 seconds. And we are back. I do apologise about that. Never had to do that before, but yeah, we need to bring that up. So let me just do that, and we'll get our before start checklist done. We won't be doing too badly. That'll be half an hour to push back. Not too unreasonable. We've definitely done worse on the channel. So before start checklist, then cockpit prep is completed for both sides. We've done the gear pins and covers are removed. The signs are hopefully in on and auto. They are indeed. The ADs are in nav up there, and they've aligned. Fuel quantity is checked. We've got 7 tons, which is more than enough. Takeoff data is indeed set. We've got our speeds, we've got our climb nav, and we've got our stop altitude. Barrier F1019 is set. Right, let's do the before start flow. Ooh. Good, that is in the right place. Right, thrust levers are closed. Just checking that my thrust levers are in the right setting. Windows and doors are closed. Let's get that beacon on. Let's get that transponder. I've forgotten it too many times on the channel. To auto. So below the line then, windows doors are closed and the beacon is on. Mobile phones off. Thrust levers are at idle. Parking brake is set. Let's get our pushback. Now hopefully this works. Let me just jumping into the chat. And again, I can only apologise for that ridiculous. I've never walked off and had to go and grab a checklist before. Rupees, there you go. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it, Vikas. Yeah, the FO should be doing the checklist. The FO has now left because she was offended at my standing up. That didn't work out very well. The TCAS, I'm not sure. I haven't seen the TCAS working that well so far on this. John Padfield says, went for a 10-mile walk today. Need to relax. Very happy to be watching the stream. Excellent. Excellent job. Throw another shrimp on the Barbie, says Daniel. Yeah, exactly. Chickpoint says, I don't think finding someone wanting to fly shared cockpit would be a problem. You're basically a celebrity. I wouldn't go that far, but you guys are always very kind, and I'm sure there are some enthusiastic people who'd love to do it. So yeah, we'll have to figure out a fun way of doing that. My first plan is that if I want to take on some people, I'll fly against them in the F-14. Right, let's announce our pushback, and then I'll finish up with the chat. Melbourne traffic, Qantas 272 pushing back from Delta 20 to face south. Okay, that's all done. Pushback, please. Oh no, I see that stop. We still have to do the brake ourselves. Okay, away we go. Start the timer. And start up engine number 2. That goes over there. Still haven't managed to get the TCA add-on pack. Still working on that. Starting number 2. Starting the clock. Jason's working the galley. What do people want for dinner? Very early to start the discussion. Although actually it's not far off dinner time here, is it? But yeah, there you go. Dhanajay Suresh, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. Thanks, Toga. Glad that explanation made sense. Kai, good to see you, Kai. Kai says, hello, I never ever miss your stream. Thanks for coming, Kai. And thanks so much for reply. You're very welcome, Kai. No problem at all. Thanks for coming along. Randy says, I'm ready for the A350 to come out from Microsoft Flight Simulator. Is there an A350 coming? Is that on the way soon, is it? You're welcome for the explanation. You're all very welcome for. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm glad it made sense. Right. Let's start up engine number 1. I often talk about other airliners when I've been flying them, like the 146. I was really impressed with how easy the engines were to start. I don't know why, because the Airbus is so easy. My only thing with the Airbus is it doesn't quite make sense at first until you're used to it, but it's actually really simple. Let's set that park brake. There we go. And hopefully the tug will disappear. They can drive off the front. Thanks so much to XD1988. Thank you for your $4.14 donation. No message that I can see, but yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for your very kind donation. Yeah, really appreciate it. I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming along to the stream today. There is our pushback.
Melbourne traffic, Jetstar 105, taxi to holding point Kilo via Tango and Alpha.
Joey Ford says, being able to catch the takeoff of another flight as I get ready for work. Excellent. So tug has moved away back into the cockpit. We'll let them do that. And that sounds like the engine started up. So we'll run into our after start flow. The engines do look shiny indeed, yeah. So there's the available message. That means that's a good start. So start the timer now. Back to norm on there. Overhead panel, APU bleed off, APU off. Come down here. We're going to arm the spoilers, reset the trim, set the flaps to 1 for our takeoff today. And fuel prediction page will give us our CG of 29.8, which is basically 30. So it's a little bit down here. Unusual, so that's good. Bit of an aft CG. Great stuff. Yeah, so I've been praising other airplanes, but the Airbus engines are actually pretty easy. They're just a little bit different to the traditional sort of style, because most airplanes you have to do something and then add fuel, whereas the master switch starts it and then adds the fuel. Right, that's all looking good. So after our checklist, anti-ice we do not require. ECAM status is checked. Pitch trim 30, rudder trim is at 0. That's the after our checklist completes. Let's taxi south. Qantas 272 taxiing south on Alpha for runway 34 departure. And we'll just follow our colleague over there. Let's get the runway turn off and taxi lights on. And we are going to get ready to go. No point sitting too close behind that NEO or we'll soon get the fumes. They do make a bit of a smell. The NEO aircraft are noticeably different. Anish, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. I hope you're doing well. The chat is incredibly active today, guys. I can only apologise if I can't keep up with it. Panda says, have you ever had missing fixes for an arrival? I was flying into KIND and the final 2 arrival fixes were missing. The FMC went direct to the initial approach fix. ATC wasn't happy. Yes, and this is what I mean by wanting lateral navigation to be custom. I think we'll be in a lot better place. Right, there goes our colleague. Let's spool up. Brakes are released. Bit of a brake check. Brakes are working. Oof, you don't want to stop on a brake check. The cabin crew will be standing up at this point doing a safety demonstration. So they would now be at least stumbling around, if not knocked out.
Departing runway 34 on the non-X3 departure.
So the that Jetstar's ahead of us. Let's do the flight control checks. Let's show you what it looks like when you're following an Airbus. So they'll do something like full left. We'll just get the mouse out of the way. Oof, there we go. Full right. Now it doesn't actually work quite like that. Not all the spoilers come up, but there we go. Neutral, full down, full up, neutral. And as you guys know, there's no disconnect on that rudder yet, so we have to just do this while very slow. Full right, full left, neutral. And then you're following an Airbus, you'll see them do it again because the other pilot has to do it on their side stick now. I don't think, I don't know if Boeings have to do it twice because, of course, the yokes are connected. In the Dash 8, which also had connected yokes, some things had to be done after the hydraulics were on, but yeah, you didn't have to do it twice because the yokes were both obviously feeding into the same system. But with the Airbus, we want to make really sure that both these side sticks are working well, otherwise you could have a lot of problems. So gosh, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming along. Oh, slow down. It is running away a bit now. Quite nice. Yeah, pretty realistic. I'm not a virtual airline guru. No, I'm not. I fly too many random airplanes and routes, and I'm usually flying from old airports or airplanes that don't fly anymore. Enrico Bianchi, good to see you. Thanks for coming along. Greetings to Emil from Denmark. Thanks for coming along. Emil said, became very happy when I saw that you were streaming. Have a nice flight. We'll be watching this tomorrow. Excellent. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for coming along, Emil. Simreef tries to put the CG around 30. There you go. And after CG like that is nice and efficient. We've never followed an airplane this closely in Microsoft, I don't think. It is really running away now, though. Dual flight control checks. Yeah, exactly. So the captain and the first officer would both check their flight controls are working. And you don't look outside, of course. You look down here and then check like that. It's really, really simple flight control page. You'll see this cross moving up here. This is the side stick command, but we don't use that to check the flight controls. We have to look at the actual screen. If you are enjoying the video, do please hit the like button. Yeah, that would be really appreciate it. This is the experimental version of the A32NX mod. Philip will be up in the air very soon. Yeah, if I'd like the 146 to make it to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Microsoft Flight Simulator needs a few older aircraft. That would be great fun. A350 is coming from Digital Flight Dynamics and Simpliflight. There we go. I hope that's good. The Flight Factor 350, yeah, the textures on the Flight Factor 350 need a bit of work, I agree, Guru, but the systems are actually pretty good these days. Lauren V says, Flight Deck to Sim was flabbergasted at how you just needed to twist and flip to ignite. Like that was it. No packs or isolation valves to toggle. No, the packs turn off on their own. No isolation valves. It's so good. Yeah, the starting in the Airbus is so sleek. Pavel says, the Chrome Manta Airlines livery also looks great, although today it looked more like Manta Icicle with the icing in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yeah, that is Microsoft Flight Simulator's continued problem. Now, I'm doing what I've done before here, and I'm just chatting to you guys and taxing out without actually checking the chart myself and just following a colleague in front. So let's make sure that we get this right. Yeah, so Alpha takes us all the way down. You can see that if you get it wrong and you were on Long Victor, you get stuck here and have to scoot down there. Right, so we've done our flight... Oh, anyway, I didn't show you the chart there, but yeah, that's what would have happened. Marcel says, please never abandon ATC. Love it when they cause problems. Yeah, no, I know. ATC do help us out. It does produce some funny or interesting situations. Can the flight control page show an incorrect indication of the flight controls? Says Vantage. Yeah, it can. So if I move my side stick and they do something silly, like don't move or move the wrong way or don't move enough, then yeah. So, for example, this little white box, the aileron needs to reach the white box at both ends. So you can see that it reaches it. Same for the elevator, that little white box. If it doesn't reach that, I'm not getting full and free movement. It could be jammed. There could be a problem with it, that sort of thing. It has also happened where people have got the side stick reversed, the control sensors reversed. There's a Freeware 350 coming. Okay, excellent. Yeah. As long as it doesn't need me to remove the fly-by-wire mod, that's the only thing that I'm not willing to do in order to use other airplanes, I must confess. Right, let's bring it to a stop. So we've done our flight control check, so now we need to, let's get that predictive wind shear to auto. Weather radar system can come on. The co-pilot looks like they're using weather radar, so we'll turn it on for them. TCAS needs to go to TARA. We're going to have the max auto brake set, takeoff config pressed, ding on the cabin crew. Although I think this mod, yeah, that works great. Before takeoff check this then, flight controls checked, flight instruments are checked, briefing is confirmed, flaps are config, 1+F is green there, and I should be on performance page, and then we go 1 blue in there. FMA and takeoff data, we've got 131, 136 climb nerve blue, 152 stopping at 10,000 feet. Transponder is set, eco memo is takeoff no blue, so that is us all good down to the line on the checklist. So, systems are great in the Flight Factor Airbus, they are indeed, Guru, I agree. Exile says, Just Flight said they're going to bring the 146 to Microsoft Flight Simulator, no time period specified. Yeah, it's going to be a slow one, that. But it is in P3D, so hopefully that will work. Kai says, I'm having issues with the Flight Factor A350. I move my side stick and the rudder moves the same way. I need help. Is that in flight? Because remember, the Airbus will automatically apply a bit of rudder. But if you're getting a lot of that, it could be in your settings on that little screen on the left if it's moving it too much. Yeah. Freeway 380 coming from fly-by-wire. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah, the Airbus is confusing for Tom because you don't have to switch packs. No, it's great, isn't it? It's so simple. Flight sim landed with manual throttle, though. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, so in the 737, there goes our colleague. Excellent. It definitely seems to be taxiing faster than last time I used it. The Neos don't run away as much as the CEO engines, the older engines did. But there we go. Have we had our time? Yeah, 8 minutes, so the engines are warm, so I can turn that off. Let's look on the approach. That is all clear. Lovely cloud effects. That's really nice, the way they're being lit up from the side. Really good. So, it's that time. It's time to get going. So let's do below the line. Cabin is secured. Engine mode selector is in norm. TCAS is TRA. Packs are going to stay on for takeoff. That's what we do these days. Let's get ourselves into the air. Giuseppe says, only champs like the video while watching the stream. Champs like it within an hour of the announcement. Very good. Yeah, thanks for doing that. Right, go on the approach. Let's get all our lights on. Let's be as visible as possible. Strobe lights coming on. Landing lights coming on. Nose light to take off. And there we go. We are going to line up. We have some colleagues behind us waiting, so let's stop hanging around. That does look great. I really like the chrome. Yeah, definitely like the chrome. You guys must remind me to set up the replay for the other end. I've totally forgotten to do that. Here's runway 34 then. That's confirmed. That's in the right place. We're in the right place at the full length. We are clear for takeoff, and let's announce it. Qantas 272 taking off Melbourne, runway 34 northerly departure. Okay. Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Right, let's bring it to a stop. Let me just make sure I'm not still transmitting because I've had that happen and it's very embarrassing. Great. Right, so any questions, I'll try and answer it in the air. Let's get going. So we'll start the clock, spool up the engines to 50%. There it is. Half side stick forwards. Release the brakes. 2 clicks forward on the thrust levers. Man, Flex 65 SRS, order thrust is armed and blue. Away we go. Takeoff inhibitors come on. I've got a video about takeoff inhibit if you were wondering. 80 to 100 knots. Release that stick to neutral. See, the ground control is still not much. It's not the fly-by-wire team's fault really. It's Microsoft Flight Simulator's grip is too high. V1 and rotate. Up we go. That rotate law working really nicely.
Traffic, Jetstar 105,
positive climb. Gear up. Nav mode's engaged. It's taking us off to the right. I wouldn't bank over to the right that much right now. I would let it gently come in. There we go. There's all that terrain on the radar. Popping into view. And away we go. Fantastic. And we're flying in Australia. We've done it. We've finally flown somewhere different. So, above acceleration altitude, saying leave a climb, we'll lower the nose to those flight directors. Bring the thrust back one stage. Thrust climb, climb, and auto thrust. All looking good. Such a different view out the front already compared to all our takeoffs from Gatwick and so on. Australia is such an amazing place. I can't wait to go back. I hope we're allowed to go soon. So, still no autopilot. I'm not doing anything to the side stick. Airbus just takes care of it all for us. Above the S speed then, and you've got to make sure you're accelerating. That little yellow arrow up will bring those flaps to 0. And see how the pitch doesn't change, nothing changes. It just carries on flying. The rear aircraft will actually slightly adjust the pitch. What it will do is it will try and maintain 1G. So it won't keep you at exactly the same pitch, but it will try and keep the flight path at 1G. Let's engage autopilot 1, disarm those ground spoilers, and turn off the nose wheel lights. And away we go. Fantastic. Definitely time for an outside shot. The climb performance on these airplanes is remarkable. No doubt about it. Victor Tango says, is there a safety announcement for passengers on the wing window seat or wearing goggles if the engine is facing the sun? Yeah, that's true. They should probably be warned to leave their sun visors down. Gabriel says, I was watching some instruction videos on the old A320 and they recommended packs off for takeoffs. Is this correct? If so, did that change on the NEO? It's the same for both the old and the NEOs. The reason to do a packs off takeoff is you save a bit of fuel and you get a bit of extra performance from the engines. However, we're obviously looking at different times, and at the moment ventilation is very important. So if you turn those packs off, let's keep climbing actually, let's go up to 390, no traffic control, and whilst we answer those questions, it's nice to be back in the Microsoft Flight Simulator. Both simulators are great, but it's always fun to get the best of both worlds really. So going to 390, let's set standard as that is going to be a flight level, out blue 390. After takeoff checklist, landing gear is up, flaps are retracted and at 0, packs are both on. That would actually go off automatically after the second engine start, and barrel ref is on standard. Yeah, so these days we want ventilation, so we can leave the packs running for takeoff. It's no problem, but it does save you a bit of fuel. Ah, someone's departing to the south. Excellent. Thank you very much, John Padfield, for your $6.91 donation. Really appreciate it, John. John says, just a little something to thank you for all the amazing videos and streams. With any luck, we'll be able to start flying for real again soon. I can't wait, John, and yeah, thank you so much for that very kind donation. Thanks for coming along to all the streams, and thanks for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it, and it's been great fun having you guys here for all these streams. And I'm sorry there haven't been more this week. We're going to get back to normal service soon with a few more, because like I say, I'm not flying commercially at the moment, although I have, which is great. So I think when I last saw you guys I hadn't. I have now flown commercially, which is good to be back in the air, but it's not a regular thing at the moment. It's very, very rare. So hopefully we'll be back in the air soon. But thank you, John, really appreciate it. So let's stop that timer now. We don't need that. Let's wind up the range a bit. Let's let the passengers walk around. And we just zoomed through a little bit of cloud. So that's funny. You get that where you get these wispy clouds, and in theory they're moisture. It's below 10 degrees and Shanghai should go on. But yeah, I would have just asked the other pilot to do it at this point. Saves me the trouble while I'm busy clicking around. Thank you very much, Johannes B. Thank you, Johannes. Really appreciate it. Johannes donates $12.02. Thank you so much. Johannes says, as my A350 is still parked in Melbourne, I had to fly along today. I'm the Jetstar 432 ahead of you. We'll be preparing your welcome party in the Gold Coast. Thank you so much, Johannes. Really appreciate it. Very kind of you. Thanks for supporting the channel so much. And yeah, thank you for flying along. I'm glad your 350 stuck there like mine is in Melbourne. So it's definitely time to stretch our legs. So yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you, Jan. It's really, really kind. Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, it was good to get a flight, definitely. Zephyr says, must be weird flying in the southern hemisphere, having the sun north and reverse course. Yeah, there's all sorts of strange things. Here we go. My favorite detailing in Microsoft Flight Simulator, the way the clouds cast shadows on each other. Look at that. Just great. Really, really good stuff. Yeah, lots of things change in the southern hemisphere. The way weather systems work is sort of reversed on some of them. It's quite a strange atmosphere. Jetpack Away says, when I first moved from the 320 NEO to the 350, I was blown away by the climb power of the 350. The 350's got good climb power. If you load it up to full fuel and weight, though, you might find it isn't quite as powerful, or it isn't much more powerful. But they are faster airplanes, long-haul aircraft. There's no doubt about it. Johnny says, thanks for this channel. It has been a lifesaver for the past few months where I've been struggling with severe burnout. Could you do a video about ATC language? Thanks, Johnny. Glad you're enjoying them. Great to hear. I hope you're feeling better now. And yeah, so VATSIM is on the list of things to cover. Yeah, I've got to do it. Yeah, I will work on that one, definitely. It keeps getting requested. I keep not getting around to it, so I will. Terry says, sorry if I might sound a little thick. Not at all. Stumbled across this channel. Are you a real airline pilot? Yep, Terry, indeed. So I am a real airline pilot. Yeah, that's why I talk about the Airbus so much. Pilots are very boring when they just talk about their aeroplane, but it's something they've had to spend a lot of time learning, and I'm just lucky that I found a way to constantly talk about it with you guys, and people seem to keep listening. Hello to hello. Guru says, a rather controversial question, but what do you think about the A380? I'm a huge fan. I honestly do love the 747 also, though. Yeah, I love the A380. I think it's great. Absolutely great. Giuseppe says, the 350 by Simfaflight isn't freeware. While they're associated with fly-by-wire, they're not a freeware developer. Ah, there you go. Didn't know that. Mr. Espresso says, I had the red warning alarm on the A32NX with ECAM message, slats not in takeoff position. Alarm did not go off after pressing the red button. I had to clear message in ECAM. Is it the same in the real bus? So, Mr. Espresso, so yeah, that system that you're talking about, the monitoring of the flaps compared to the takeoff position, doesn't quite work like it does in the real aircraft. Not all airplanes have this system fitted, but it's an ECAM monitoring system where if you have the wrong flap setting compared to what you had in here, you'll get a warning. So the modern Airbuses will also know if the speeds are wrong. So if they think your speeds and weights don't match up, it will give you an ECAM warning. So the message should only appear that your flaps are in the wrong position after you've pressed takeoff config. That's my understanding. Either pressing takeoff config or moving the thrust levers forward. It shouldn't do it straight away when they're in a different position, because of course it's going to take you time to set the position. So how does it know you're not just setting the flaps? And the warnings latch in slightly the wrong way. In the real aircraft, you wouldn't have to press clear to cancel the actual constant ding ding ding. You can actually cancel the master warning up here, except for certain things like an overspeed. So yeah, so Mr. Espresso, that warning is slightly off compared to the real airplane. Fraser Smith, thanks so much for your £2 donation. Really appreciate it. Fraser says, love the content. Starting my PPL next year at 16. Fantastic, Fraser. Thanks so much for your very kind £2 donation. Really appreciate it. And yeah, good luck with your PPL. Enjoy it. Private pilot license is great fun, and if you carry on from there to become an airline pilot, what happens is you get to do all your fun flying as a private pilot, and then it suddenly becomes all about commercial side of it, and suddenly every second counts when you're doing it commercially. So it's a different world. So enjoy your private pilot's license. It's great fun. Yeah, really, really great. So hope that goes well, and thank you very much for that very kind donation. Thank you to the Sledge for your $20. Goodness me, the Sledge, very kind of you. Thank you so much for your $20 donation. Really appreciate it. The Sledge says, Sunday dinner duties, call me from the flight deck. Thanks for the streams and videos. Keep it going. Thank you so much, the Sledge. Really kind of you. Enjoy your dinner. And I don't know if you're going to be peeling the carrots or the potatoes, but yeah, thanks so much for coming along, and really appreciate that very kind donation. More videos and streams will be coming indeed, yeah. And again, I'm sorry it's been a little bit quieter than normal the last couple of weeks, but we'll get some more streams going soon. So thank you so much, really appreciate that. Very generous, the Sledge, and enjoy your dinner. Okay, cruising through 25,000 feet, no problem here. How's the fuel burn looking? We burn about a ton, so I'm expecting to burn sort of 2.5 tons in the first hour of flying. So yeah, not bad, not bad. We have a bit of a reasonable length cruise today, so we'll get a chance to look out the windows, talk a little bit about where we're going. Goodness me. Yeah, thank you all of you watching. If you would like to hit the like button if you're enjoying the video, it makes a big difference to the channel, and we really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Joe Ford says, love watching the takeoffs, make it a smooth one. I hope it was smooth. Right, I'm way out of date on the chat, and this is typical of me. Flight time 1 hour 50. From when we took off. Runway FMA during takeoff means, so it says Manflex SRS, and it would say runway up here. That means it has an ILS signal, and it is going to be able to. It doesn't mean a whole lot, but that's what it's talking about. It's just a lateral navigation. We're not looking inside during takeoff because you can't use anything on here to navigate. Some airliners have low visibility systems that let you look inside to steer. Not on the A320. We are looking outside, even in low visibility for takeoff. Philip says, did I miss the graphic settings? My cat ran away in the last 15 minutes. I had to catch her from neighbour's garden. No, I hope you got her back safely. Our first officer, she's very good actually. She's only once jumped over the fence and then got confused and wanted to come straight back again. But yeah, so no, we haven't talked about settings. This is all Ultra. We're just running at Ultra 1080p today. I film my videos in Ultra 1440p. If that helps you guys. Miku says, if you were given the opportunity to fly a different aircraft, what would you, and if so, what would it be? Yes, I absolutely would, of course. What would it be? I really don't mind. 757, I'd like to fly. 380, 340, 330, 747. Those are all high up on the list. 787, 350, any of those. theme there probably being longer haul aircraft, just to try something different. Thanks so much, Thandril. I really appreciate the $10 donation. Really kind of you. Thandril says, thanks for the streams and videos. First caught you on your A320 landing tutorial and got hooked since. Keep up the great work. That's really kind. Thanks so much for your $10 donation. Thank you for coming along and being part of the community and the stream. And thanks for supporting the channel, Thandril. Am I getting that right? Really kind. And yeah, I'm glad you've been enjoying the videos. Thank you so much. And it's just landing lights. Yeah, we've gone through 10,000 feet. Great spot. Landing lights need to come off. Seatbelt signs are already off. Oh my goodness me. And we can go to airport, start seeing what's around, because I have no idea. This isn't quite as easy as Europe, I imagine, where you have hundreds of airports all around you. Right, Deep Future, thank you so much for your €10 donation. Really appreciate it, Deep Future. That's very kind. I hope I haven't missed anybody out. I have missed some people out. There's been oh goodness me. Yeah, thank you, Deep Future. That's really appreciated for your €10 donation. Deep Future says, love your streams. Do you think the fly-by-wire 320 is far from off from study level? So I'm sorry I'm speaking so fast. Let me just slow down a little bit. Right, study level is a phrase regular viewers will know. I want there to be an understanding that there's no simulator that I use to study. I've never used a simulator to study an aircraft for a type rating. I've always used the documentation and then the simulators that work provides. And the reason for that is that this is a really great add-on. It's getting better and better every day, but there are systems that will not behave in the same way. More to the point, a lot of airliners use, we spend a lot of time training failures, and it's the failures that are so complex. Now the Toliss does a fantastic job, but even the Toliss does not behave perfectly in every system as, for example, the simulators at work do. The simulators and airlines use, have so many different layers, and the older simulators actually use the real flight control computers off the real airplanes up here. So they use the real ELACs, SECs and FACs and so on. So the cautions you get are exactly what the real airplane would do, whereas you won't reach that level in these home flight simulators, and I wouldn't expect them to. So I would say study level in the sense of a really detailed add-on is what I would refer to. I'm not trying to complain. I understand what that phrase means, and I think it's fine. Just to be clear what I mean by study level, it's not going to be at a level you can use to study it, to fly the real aircraft, just because of the failure situation. And also, airlines will have their own different versions. Everything will be different. You can have aircraft that don't have this instrument. They have different setups for the standby instruments. They don't. We talked about that flap disagree message. Well, that message is only on certain aircraft, depending if your airline bothered to fit it or updated the system. There's certain operational procedures that are stuck, operational engineering bulletins that were stuck on the airplane if it hasn't been updated. There's so many things. You just can't rely on any home simulator for it. But yeah, could this be study level? In the term of the word that we're used to, definitely. It's really getting there, and the electrical system just proves it. I wasn't sure when the project started, because the default 320 was missing so many features, or worse, was broken in so many ways, and they've done such good work to it. Then now, yes, totally convinced. If they can get this electrical system working as well as they have, 100%, they can get the rest of it working. So yeah, it will be. And it's amazing that it's a freeware project. Things like the sound and the textures and so on are just in another level now on this add-on. Sorry, Deep Future, thanks so much for your €10 donation, and sorry for that rant. But yeah, really appreciate it, Deep Future, very kind. You're very welcome, Marianne. Johnny Carrison, I will get through to all the kind donations. Sorry guys. So Johnny says, thanks for the amazing channel that's keeping me busy thinking something else than my way too slow recovery from burnout. No problem, Johnny. Thank you so much for coming along, and that's very kind of you. Thank you for your €10.99 donation. I hope you're doing well in Europe, wherever you are, and yeah, I hope you feel better soon. Yeah, take it easy, enjoy the streams. We always do chilled out streams on this channel. There's nothing exciting going on here. We are as relaxed as we can be, because that's how flying should be. Your pilots won't want to come to work and do 12 hours of stressful flying. That's not how we work. We keep it very mellow, very calm, keeping the workload as even as we can. We don't want to give ourselves huge spikes. Now, on my channel, you will, however, notice that I often end up doing everything in the last 20 miles. But we try and avoid that in the real aeroplane. But thank you for that donation. Really appreciate it, Johnny. Feel better soon. Okay, let me jump in. What have I missed? I'm so sorry if I miss anybody. That was Johnny. Okay, and I think before we get to Simon, let me just jump into and John. Turn the harness. Done the sledge. Fraser Smith, thanks so much, Fraser Smith, for your £2 donation. Really appreciate it, Fraser. Fraser says, love the content, starts my PPL next year at 16. Fantastic. Did I see that one? I think I did that one. No, we did that super chat. Yeah, Fraser, we've done. D'Angelo, we've done. John Padfield, thank you. Here we go. John Padfield donated $6.91. And John said, let's replay that one just so you guys know what I'm talking about. So, John, thank you for your $6.91. John says, a quick question. I have had an ECAM message on the Toliss Airbus stating lower gear to cool the brakes. Have you had this on the real aircraft? Yes. Absolutely. So, as we climb up to our cruise, the ECAM message you're talking about, John, is what happens if the brakes get too hot and there's a temperature limit, 300 degrees Celsius. Now, is it modelled on here? Yeah, so they're currently at 25. So these will go up and up and up if you use them for landing and so on. So there's a temperature limit of 300 degrees. They must be below 300 degrees before you take off. The reason for that is they sit in the wheel well of the airplane. So, if you have a hydraulic leak in the wheel well and the brakes are 300 degrees, if that fluid gets onto those brake discs, then it could ignite it. It's so hot it would set fire to the to the hydraulic fluid. So we don't want that to happen. So that's why there's a temperature limit of 300 degrees Celsius. If you take off, and sometimes maybe the brakes take time to heat up. So as we're taxiing out, they won't heat up immediately when you use them. They'll take time. So you might do a really long taxi and then roll onto the runway and take off. And then as you get in the air, the brakes will heat up because they'll still be heating up from your taxi out, and then they'll reach their peak temperature. If that temperature is too hot, you could get an ECAM warning, and it will say, if possible, lower the landing gear to cool them down. So that is a possible thing to do. It's incredibly awkward to do that. There's two reasons. You have to be below 250 knots to lower the landing gear, so you have to do it quite quickly. Secondly, you have to be below 220 knots to raise the landing gear. It's actually up here. VLE, speed for landing gear extension, LE. Landing gear extended is 280 knots. So that's with the gear down, fully down and locked, and the doors closed. The reason that speed is higher than these speeds, the operating speeds, is because we've got these gear doors. Oh, have they fixed the... No, they haven't fixed the control. So these doors will open. So yeah, they could get damaged if they're not closed at that speed. So that's what that is for. Then we got speed for landing gear operation, extension at 250, retraction 220. So we have to slow down to below 220 knots to raise the landing gear because the nose wheel has to come forward into the airflow. That's how it retracts. So that message is possible. I have had it. There's our last 1,000 feet to go up to 390. It's not the end of the world, but it's something you need to be careful with because yeah, we don't want super hot brakes. It could be that you've got a brake that's been binding as well, so maybe it's been sticking on when it shouldn't have been, and that's why it heated up during takeoff, especially if one brake is very hot and the rest is sort of normal. So hopefully that answers that question. If it was sort of 305 degrees, then I wouldn't bother lowering the gear. You're giving yourself more of a headache by lowering the landing gear. You've got to raise it. It's very noisy. It burns extra fuel. Air traffic will be annoyed at you because you've had to slow down to 220 knots. Sometimes it would say delay raising the landing gear. Some airlines don't like that as a procedure because it's so abnormal. The risk is you're going to forget the landing gear. The Airbus is very unusual in that its landing gear is not very obvious that it's actually down. It's not... Compared to the other systems, it doesn't show you the speed limits the same and so on. So yeah, it's a rare one to have to actually do. Simon Smith, thank you so much for your €10 donation. Really appreciate it. I haven't seen that GIF before of the revolving hippo, so really appreciate it, Simon. I hope you're doing very well, and thank you for your very kind donation. Thanks for coming along to the stream today. Really appreciate it. Philip says for the cat that yes, she jumped over the fence too, but the dog scared her back in our garden. Thanks for your information. No problem, Philip. Yeah, that's what happens with cats. Mr. Espresso says, Captain, do you still fly single piston engine geoplanes in real life? No, but I've been doing it more lately, put it that way. I've not done it in all my years of flying. It's quite expensive and it's a different license you have to keep renewing. My license to fly airliners does not allow me to fly single engine piston aircraft. So yeah. But thank you so much, Simon, for that donation again. Really appreciate it. Very generous. And thanks for supporting the channel so much over the time. Really kind of you. Right, moving on. Johnny, we've done Johnny's message. That's great. Thanks again to Johnny. Deep Future, we've answered. Simon Smith, we've answered. Okay, I think we're getting back in the right place. I may have missed a few purchases there. If anyone's purchased from the Teespring store, I do thank you very much, and I apologise so much if I've missed it. Danny Rubel, thank you for your $3 donation. Really appreciate it, Danny. Danny says, I guess it depends on some factors, etc. But do those landing gears cool down quick when you got to deploy them after takeoff? Not really. No, it's not a very fast process. Normally, you'd only have to cool them down by a few degrees, though, so it wouldn't take long. Because if you're at the holding point before takeoff and you see your landing gear is at 350 degrees Celsius, you're nowhere near ready to go. You wouldn't even try. The risk more comes that, say you get to the holding point at 280 degrees Celsius and then you taxi onto the runway and take off, that's where it could creep up to slightly over. So usually it will come back down before you even have to bother lowering the landing gear. Now I need to point something out here. We've talked about brakes. You guys remember my brake fan video. This fan is up here. So you would use the brake fans on the taxi out if you had very hot brakes. But if you're using the brake fan, the temperature limit changes. So it's 300 degrees if you're not using the brake fans, but if your brake fans are working, you've got to use 150 degrees as the limit. The reason is the brake fans blast air onto the temperature sensor, so it immediately cools the brakes down. So it makes the brakes think that, or it makes the sensor think it's much cooler than the brakes actually are. So if you then turn off the brake fan, which is it does when you take off, you turn it off, then the temperature could suddenly rise. So if the temperature, say, was 200 degrees with the brake fans on, although it's below the limit for the brake fan off, actually the brakes could be much hotter, so you would need to wait. That is a lot of information about temperatures on the brakes. Lauren Mees off to pick up some ELACs. There we go. Goodness me, I'm way behind. The DCDU is no longer optional, Guru. Good question. In Europe now, you are required to have CPDLC. So unless there's another way of doing it, this is not optional. Yeah, it used to be, but now CPDLC is required. So, and I'm not sure if any airlines use other systems, like using the MCDU for the data link. I'm not sure. Aviation Forever says, why is the thumbnail so pixely? Yeah, this is a YouTube problem. I've been uploading it exactly the same way. I've noticed some other YouTubers have had this happen to their live streams as well. So I'm going to have to re-upload the thumbnail later. Yeah, sorry about that. Daniel says, I'm thinking of a piloting career, but I'm not very young anymore. Is there an upper age limit to getting started? That's a really hard question. It depends on the country. Some countries will have upper age limits. So you need to look at where you want to work, and do any of the airlines around there have an age limit? Assuming they don't, then I've seen people train in their 40s to become airline pilots. Yeah, swapping careers. It does happen. Yeah. But you've got to make sure you know what your country's like and what the medical limit is in your country for when you're not allowed to keep your Class 1 medical. Usually around 60 years old. Used to be lower than that. Thanks so much to Marcel Dupree. Thank you for your £5 donation. Really appreciate it, Marcel. Marcel says, that's what makes your channel so great. You always answer questions in full. And the streams are just so great to watch. Inspiring. Thank you. That's very kind of you, Marcel. Thanks for your £5 donation. And thanks for your kind words. Really appreciate it. That's really, really generous. And thanks for coming along. Thanks for supporting the channel once again, Marcel. Really kind. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying this one as well. Thanks for coming along. So where were we? Giuseppe says, Gaia just announced a free Memmingen airport for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Very good. Always nice to get some free scenery. We love that. David, I'm glad you find the streams relaxing. Very good. Guru says, please don't jinx yourself while answering the question, but have you ever had any sort of catastrophic failure? What I'll do is I'll touch wood, because we know that will stop any problems there. So touch wood, no. No. If you think about catastrophic failure, you would have heard it on the news, like that. For example, that 777 with the engine failure not long ago in America. That would be a catastrophic failure, I would almost say. I mean, I don't know if it would. Does it count as catastrophic? It was catastrophic for the engine. Obviously, it wasn't catastrophic for the flight. So, but very, very rare, thank goodness. Benjamin says, as a fly-by-wire developer, I'm now tempted to add that ECAM message. There you go, very good. Malcolm says, why not Twitch out of interest? Every time I ask about Twitch on the channel, people aren't interested. So that's why we're on YouTube. Duncan says, in the real aircraft, when the engines start, there's a unique noise sounding like drilling. I think it's some hydraulic system pressurizing. Why is this sound not modeled, or am I doing something wrong? Duncan, that sound is modeled, but quite accurately, it's turned off from the cockpit. You can't hear it. So that is this little switch here. So go into your fly pad, go to settings, the settings wheel, go to PTU audible in cockpit, turn it on, and it says unrealistic, which I like because you can't hear it in the cockpit. It's very noisy above the wings because that's where the PTU is, and it's absolutely the hydraulic power transfer unit supplying the other hydraulic system from just one engine. So yeah, there you go, that's it. PTU, you turn it on, you'll get that noise back if you like it. Toliss, for example, has a system where you can listen to it as well. A lot of people seem to like that noise, and I can understand why. Yeah, you can't hear that noise, that PTU noise, in any Airbus in the cockpit. The old ones, the new ones, the short ones, the long ones. No, can't hear it. Oh, you've all answered for me. I'm just probably being so far behind. Toga says, Captain, I think I have an idea, but what exactly is the reason the 320 and 350 don't have trim tanks? 350, I don't know. 320, it's just not that important. We're not flying far enough to need it. If you think about, think how far we can get on the fuel tanks in the wings. Now think about the added complexity of fuel lines running from up into the tail, tanks in the tail. It's not worth it. Most short-haul aircraft don't have trim tanks. We also don't fly for long enough that you could maneuver the fuel around in an efficient way to adjust the central gravity. The reason for trim tanks is that, say we're flying along and I'm having to hold up elevator because I've got a forward center of gravity, so I'm having to hold the nose up. I don't want to have to do that for the whole flight because it causes drag because the elevator is out of trim. And it's not the actual elevator that'll be out of trim, it's this stabilizer. You can see it's actually a little bit nose up at the moment. So that's producing a bit of drag to try and keep the nose up. So the further back the CG, the less we need there. So it's more efficient. But on these short flights, you're not going to be able to do much with it. So they never have that on these small airliners. I'm sure someone now will find an aircraft that does have it, that's a short haul aircraft. So they must be out there, but yeah, it's very rare. Oh, poor Duncan. Duncan, yeah, I think everyone's answered. Simon says, always very happy whenever you stream. Always makes for a lovely Sunday evening. Thanks, Simon. Yeah, we're doing well with the Sundays. If I was working full-time, you wouldn't see me much on Sundays because we're nearly always working in the working weekends. Vicente says, what does it mean when the ECAM says normal brake in orange? Well, that will mean, presumably, that your normal braking system is off and you're on the alternate braking system. But yeah, without seeing the actual ECAM, I can't tell you. John says, I'm about to fly Piper Arrow in August. Fantastic. Enjoy that, John. Yeah, Piper Arrow, fantastic. Yeah, really good fun. We are very lucky, wonderful web. I agreed to have the 320, and I'm looking forward to that A380. Flighter says, are you going to take a closer look at the new elect system? So, I've been thinking about it, but I did do an electrical video when they first added it, and I know that they've done a lot of work in the background to make it all work properly. So if we turn off generator 1, clunk, there we go. Now if you do that in the 737, the autopilot drops out. But the Airbus is just so straightforward. All we've lost is that galley. And if I go to my ECAM status page, yeah, okay, so it's not quite as it should be, but there we go. Yeah, I know they've assigned all the switches properly. I like hearing the clunk. That's the electrical relays behind here swapping over. Very noisy. Quite strange to hear that when you first do it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we'll revisit it at the moment. Doug Retro says, I'm wondering if the sensor issue with the brake fans is modelled in the fly-by. Yeah, I don't know actually. Good question. Maxa says, did you ever want to become an air race or fighter jet pilot? Because the job of the modern passenger plane pilot is procedures taking off for 5 minutes and then landing for 5 minutes. Our job, I'm going to say that our job is more than that. In terms of actual hand flying, maybe we just do the first couple of minutes and the last couple of minutes. But right now, you know, I know I'm chatting to you guys, but we would be monitoring the fuel, we're running our systems checks. In fact, we should have done that top of climb. Talking to the passengers, dealing with the cabin crew, make sure everything's running okay, dealing with air traffic control, planning weather, planning fuel, planning diversions. Yeah, there's loads of stuff we do, and there's a lot of management. We do a lot of management now compared to hand flying, and that's just the nature of the job now. Especially, you know, think how busy airspace is compared to what it used to be like. But I'm fine with that. No, I enjoy that. I always wanted to be an airline pilot specifically. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. If someone said you could go and try an air race, I would jump at it. I want to do more aerobatics, which is why I'm hoping to get back into general aviation flying, because I loved aerobatics when I did it in my training. And also, if someone said, do you want to fly a fighter jet? Yes, I would jump at the chance to fly a fighter jet as well, of course. But I always wanted to be an airline pilot. Yeah. But, you know, someone offered me a job on the F-14 Tomcat tomorrow. Well, that would be a pretty difficult one to say no to, wouldn't it? Can you imagine? So if anyone watching owns an F-14... CPLC, Arian says, yeah, CPLC doesn't work yet in these add-ons, so I'm afraid I can't make a video on that. John says Flight Data Sim had an issue as well. Hopefully that's with the thumbnail, I'm imagining. Yeah, no face reveal at 43,000, I'm afraid. Paul. John says, I'm in my 40s and I'm going to try and become an airline pilot. I hate my current job and I've always wanted to fly. There you go. Brilliant, John. Yeah, good luck. I hope it goes well. How long until the mod surpasses the Toliss? I don't know if it will surpass the Toliss. The Toliss has got a lot going for it, especially in the background. Until it reaches that level, I don't know. Months. We're talking months. The Airbus is a very complicated machine. But yeah, brilliant, John. Yeah, that's really exciting. Let us know how it goes. Keep us updated, John. I mean, we've been doing this for a year now, so if somebody started training when we started this channel, then, you know, they'd be quite a way through it by now if they were doing it full time. Pavel says, I always wanted to be a pilot. I ended up as a plasma physics associated professor. What are you guys doing? Fantastic, yeah. Wow, what a job. There's amazing jobs we get in this community. Wow, Thackrock says that 777 engine failure happened about 30 kilometers from my house. Goodness me. Did you hear anything? YouTube streaming is better than Twitch, says this guy. There we go. So some people would prefer it. Serious failure, says Danny. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, replay and excuses. Thanks, Marcel. Let me load up the replay software now so I can remember it for later. Any news on the BSS standby for the NEO, says John. I haven't heard any. No. No. There are a whole bunch of videos on YouTube of nothing but the PTU noise, says Tom Corwine. They're very good. Chick Point's having some nice coffee from the 320 SimPilot mug. Excellent. Yeah, I've got a 320 SimPilot mug. They're available on the Teespring store. So yeah, if you would like one, they are available. Really nice. I really like the mug. I was quite pleased with it. Very pleased with it, in fact. Oh my goodness. I'm so far behind on the chat. This is probably the worst I've ever had it. I can't believe how active you guys are being. Right, where were we? Where were we? Lauren V says, found it ridiculous how non-aviation people went nuts about the TUI gross error, not understanding that meant it just meant the weight was wrong. A 1,200 kilogram difference in gross weight isn't that major. No, agreed. Yeah, that error was, so what Lauren's talking about is there was an incident where an airliner took off and the weights were later found out to be wrong when they calculated it properly, because there was an error in the booking system which assumed that, I think it was to do with the MIS and MS coding and making people listed as children and adults, so the weights were wrong. So it was an error. there are rounding errors in all of these things because modern airliners, they tend to assume weight. So when you book a flight and you tell it that you're a man, a woman, you're going on holiday, you're going on business, it depends, or well, actually that depends more on what the flight's scheduled or chartered, but they adjust the weights accordingly as an assumed average weight. Now these weights are come up with by regulating authorities and so on, but yeah, they're not perfect. They're not perfect. So there will be some error anyway, but basically they would have done performance for a lighter weight than they actually were. Now that's not good. You don't want that to happen, especially if there's an engine failure or something like that. That could have become a problem. But yeah, that was an interesting one. But what happens with this sort of thing is that you'll find that every now and then an aviation story makes it into the media, and it can be something like that, which actually is a very administrative sort of aviation incident. Now, you know, to you guys and me, look at that, this Australia, just fantastic. It's so cool to see. For you and me, that there's quite a lot of interesting information in that, but that's because we think and talk about airplanes all the time. But what happens is, it's the same with that, you'll get news reports about a near miss, and they'll say that two airplanes got too close to each other, and then you'll look at it, and it'll be a report from a year ago, and what's happened is the journalist has gone to the civil aviation reports page and just found a report to make a story about. So yeah, that does tend to happen. So sometimes some stories get a lot more traction when there's probably far more exciting stories out there. It's just they haven't been picked up on. Simon Taylor says, "Hi Captain, great to catch you live. Just taken off from Chennai for Delhi on the next leg of my round the world tour." Excellent, good luck Simon. I hope the tour's going well. Bernsey says, "As I'm leaving school soon, what would you say is the best way to become a pilot after leaving?" Depends on which country you're in, Bernsey. Yeah, it does depend. So I won't give an answer just because it would depend on so much. But ask as many people. You're doing the right thing, asking me here, and ask as many people as you know, especially if you can get hold of any, or you know, any commercial pilots who've been learning to fly in your country and so on. That will help out. Yeah, keep asking questions. Do as much research as you can. Definitely. Victor Tango says, "Especially amusing when pilots land in strong crosswinds and journalists are amazed that they can land, and if it was just a random person, as if it was just a random person in the cockpit." Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. Some of those, I must admit, I do enjoy watching the crosswind videos myself, but that's usually because I'm sat at home with a cup of tea when I watch it and not having to actually do it. Jetpack Oasis, get used to using AOA. Yeah, military guys use angle of attack nearly always. They don't look at the speed. Yeah, agreed. John Padfield says, "I was a police officer for 2 years. I think that experience will help me." Yeah, police officers often appear as pilots. Yeah. And I think the police were quite interested in using furloughed pilots or taking on redundant pilots because of the sort of use of procedures and following protocol and dynamic situations. Yeah. I believe, anyway. Giuseppe says, "Most journalists don't know squat about specialised topics. Nearly every article about Microsoft Flight Simulator on mainstream press has been incredibly cringe." There you go. S. Starwing says, "Hey, 320 Sim Pilot, long time subscriber and have a question. Aircraft has disappeared from EFB screen. When Alt-click for window, it's there. Have tried every version." And it is, sorry, I don't know, Starwing. That's a really interesting one. You're talking about the Microsoft Flight Simulator one? Then, yeah, I've had no trouble with it. I would just try updating it or reinstalling it. Good to see you, Ed Haslam. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for coming back. Yeah, the thumbnail, I'm not sure. It seems to be a glitch. Victor Tango says, "Speaking of strong crosswind landings, could you make a video on how to land in those conditions, especially when it's gusting as well?" Yeah. Yeah. Crosswind landings, Victor Tango. That's on the list. So VATSIM and crosswind landings. I do have an actual document I have written out on my computer that I use. But what happens is I write out a list of videos I need to work on, and then something like the 146 suddenly appears, and I some videos are more time sensitive than others, you see, so they get pushed down a little bit. But that's a good idea. Crosswind landings are hard in the simulator. Let me be very clear, it is easier to fly this airplane in real life in strong crosswinds than it is on Microsoft Flight Simulator or X-Plane. It is, there's no doubt about it. Kanishk says, on the real airplane, do the rudder move on autopilot like on the A32NX? The rudder pedals, you won't notice them moving in the real airplane, no. Giuseppe's Gaming says, to be fair, it only takes months to reach the level of an add-on that has years of development. It'll be a miracle. Exactly, yeah. No, it's going to take time for this to become the same level. Harry says, you probably get lots of requests, but have you ever thought about St. Helena, maybe from Namibia or South Africa? There's a whole documentary on what it makes so challenging. It'd be good fun to fly. Yeah, and I could use the 737 on that. That could be interesting, because I think that's the 737 NG is what flies there. Nope. So, Simley, thank you. Simley says, to fix the thumbnail, you just re-upload it. Yeah, I will do that. No problem, Mix Tango. To calculate the flex temp for takeoff and stuff, you have to have an external calculator of some variety. Matthew Presley, good to see you. Matthew Presley, our CRJ, American CRJ pilot. Matthew says, I'll take the extreme crosswinds, breaks up the monotony of a severe clear trip. yeah, fair enough. Yeah, some pilots like it. I don't mind normal crosswinds, but when it's sort of over 35 knots, so anything up to 30 knots is just a breezy day. That can be quite, a bit challenging. Over 30 knots, you're getting into serious crosswind territory. When it's above 40 knots, then it's just about being as safe and practical as you can, and that can cause delays, obviously. The other problem is, well, not a problem. Something that can happen is you can have completely clear and nice weather conditions, and then find the weirdest and most unusual weather patterns that cause you big problems, like sudden changes to tailwind and so on. So even on nice days, you can run into these issues very suddenly. I believe the term journalists use for crosswind landings are pilots land sideways, says Togo. Yep, pretty much. Retro says, what is ground controlling overhead panel? Ground controlling overhead panel is that button, and all that does is tells us that sets the voice recorder to turn on before we have the engines running. Yep. No one is answering Danny Robles' PTU question. What was Danny Robles' PTU question? Sorry, Danny. Oh dear, I'm way behind again. Ed, thank you so much, Ed, for your £4.99 donation. Really appreciate it, Ed. Ed says, missed the last few live streams due to my life work, but it's great to be back in Microsoft Flight Simulator and the 320. No better way to spend a Sunday evening. Thanks, Ed. Thank you again for your continued support. Thanks for coming along to the live stream, and thank you so much for that £4.99 donation. Yeah, it's been a while. It has been a while. So I haven't been streaming much, so you haven't missed much, but thank you for coming along. Oh, look, there's a little patch of default. I wonder what's there. Do you think there's a military base or something there? But yeah, thank you so much for coming along, Ed, and thank you for your very kind donation. Really, really appreciate it. Victor Tango, enjoy your mug. Excellent colour choice as well, if that's the colour you chose. Yeah, really nice. Thanks, Victor Tango. Enjoy the mug. Oh, this is a great livery. Link in the description. The author has done a fantastic job. I can see there's some lagging going on. I can only apologise. I hope the audio is working out for you guys. Chickpoint says, which colour mug did you get? I really love the suggested purple. Yeah, I have the... I think I have the default colour. But it might be blue, not purple. The dark blue. But yeah, I chose all the colours. So if you guys go to the merch store, you can see the different colours for the t-shirts and the mugs, and you can choose one. I chose the colours that are there. So I've looked through them all, and those are the ones I think worked with our logo. Yeah. So it's entirely your choice out of those. There are some that I wouldn't allow. I'm not available. Danny says, here we go, here's Danny's question. I bet this is asked already, but what does the PTU, why is it so? The PTU is power transfer unit. Power transfer unit simply, the power transfer unit means that we have one hydraulic system supplied by the other if one fails. It's a bit hard to show you in the A32NX because the hydraulic system isn't modelled properly yet. But the name is in the name, power transfer unit. It takes the power from one hydraulic system, it uses that power to then power the other one, and that's why it's so noisy. It's a big high pressure sort of system. So that's what it does. It's not usually running. It's only running when one engine is shut down, because the hydraulic systems are normally powered by each engine. There's three. One is powered by an electric pump, and the other Two, the main hydraulic systems, the green and the yellow system they're called, are powered by the engine hydraulic pumps. So because the engine's spinning, it's spinning a few other things, including a generator and a hydraulic pump. If this engine here shut down, then that hydraulic system being supplied by this engine would sadly lose its power. So that's when the power transfer unit will take power from the engine and the hydraulic system that is running and use it to pressurize this one, because hydraulic systems need pressure. So when we say power, what I mean is pressure. As long as it's pressurized, it can then move the control surfaces and so on. Remember, we only need one hydraulic system to be working and to fly this aeroplane. Where are we on the visual map? There we go. There's Casey, there's Melbourne. Getting it a bit cloudy now, but not too far to go. I better start preparing for this one. What am I doing? Here we go. Right, back in the cockpit. Okay, I think what I'm going to do, I'm so far behind. Thank you again, Ed, for your donation. Really appreciate it. What I'm going to do is just jump to the bottom of the chat. So if you've asked the question, do please ask it again. And I can only apologise because I'm just so far behind. Tom says, if the frame rate gets any worse, I'm gonna think you're playing on my computer. Says Tom. Yeah. So I can promise you, the actual game is running very smoothly on my normal monitor, but I can see that the streaming software, for some reason, is getting a bit upset and lagging, and I don't know why. It seems to be going through phases. So fingers crossed that works out. Tom says they should really call it pressure transfer unit. Yeah, there you go. Very good. Chickpoint says, now I'm doubting if the suggested colour is actual dark purple or dark blue. Anyways, I like it. Yeah, I think it's dark blue. But I think a purple one's available. I think that would look nice as well. Ooh, what have I missed? What have I missed? Danny Roble, thank you so much for your $3 donation. Really appreciate it, Danny. Danny says, haha, don't worry. I keep in mind that you have many questions. You can't answer them all. Thanks, Danny. Thanks for that donation. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I apologise it took me so long. But thanks so much. Tom says the PTU seems to activate when the gear is going up as well, unless I'm hearing something else. No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't activate when the gear is going up. No need for that. Yeah, it's just not. Can't show you the page here. In fact, they shouldn't be on the wheel page now. It should be on the cruise page. I'm a little surprised. What's going on there? It's in the cruise phase. 390. I don't know. Now, this is exciting. Is this working in this mod? YBCG. Yes, look at this. Brilliant. Progress page. So we're 360 miles to go. So useful for situational awareness. Absolutely brilliant. So glad they've added that. That needs a video on its own. Retro says, are the fly-by-wire team working on the rudder ground effect of the airplane? I don't know. The problem is that is built into the Microsoft Flight Simulator more than this actual airplane, so I don't know if that's possible, because nearly all airplanes suffer from it in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So yeah. Doctor says, have you made the latest Windows update? After that lagging was much less. I'll try it out, but again, the simulator's not lagging, it's my internet, I think, that's causing the problems. Ed Haslam says, a green mug, I see a collection coming on. Excellent. Audio's 5x5. Thanks, Dave, that's good to know. That's a relief. C. Gonzalez, good to see you. Thanks for coming. eBoss, great to see you as well. Yeah, if we did mention fly, which has been lucky. No, you says, if you have time, can you explain the whole overhead? I always think about what the buttons actually do, even though I understand it. Not today, I'm afraid. That's too many systems. The overhead panel effectively replaces the flight engineer, and it doesn't even do that. It just shows us sort of a simplified version of the systems. It's too many buttons, I'm afraid. Sorry. Yeah, that would be a video on its own. In fact, that would be several videos on its own. The general principle of the overhead is, you've got it divided into sections: electrical section, fuel, hydraulic, fire, air conditioning. Down here is the most used stuff, so lights, APU, seat belts, that sort of stuff. So it's very, very logical in the Airbus, really nicely laid out. But there's too many buttons, I'm afraid, to be able to do it all now. That's the colour Victor Tango chose. Excellent, enjoy it. Yeah. Stuttering happens with me as well, says Simony Bob. Yeah, it's a shame. Could be in mine or something. Oh, an old mine. Yeah, could be an RV. Yeah, we are on VATSIM indeed. And thanks, Doug. Dougal as well. Thanks. If you are enjoying the video, do please hit the like button. I really appreciate it. We're in the experimental version of this mod. Stream looks okay to jetpack away. Excellent news. Simony Bob says, by the way, when is top of descent coming to the A32NX on the ND? It's pretty important. Yeah, I'm not sure. They're still working on LNAV. I think LNAV first before VNAV. CPDLC is this little DCDU unit, and it will come up with a message saying descend flight level 250, and then we would acknowledge it by pressing acknowledge. Yeah, it doesn't work yet. And then that sends it, and we don't have to talk on the radio in that case because air traffic control reads our message from here. That's in Europe at least. We speak to other air traffic control units, or we swap air traffic control units with the radio. So this will come up with a message. It will say contact 124825. Then we'll tune 124825 down here, and then we will check in with that frequency over the radio, and then the next message will just appear on here. Yep. Pavel, thanks so much. Enjoy your t-shirt. I have that t-shirt at home as well, and I really like it. So excellent. Enjoy that. Thanks for your support, Pavel, and yeah, enjoy your t-shirt. And thanks, Pavel, for your mug. I think that's the colour mug I've got. Yeah. So really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, when I designed the merchandise, so that merchandise has all been drawn specifically for it. So there's a tail fin on the back using our Manta livery, and the t-shirt has the Manta livery A321 on the back as well. That was all drawn specifically for the merchandise, yeah, and obviously our logo like normal on the front. So thanks to my graphical designer for that stuff, for that art. I'm really proud of the merchandise. Also, I ordered samples so I know what everything is before we made it public. So to make sure it actually is, you know, what we're expecting and what you guys are expecting. Aristocrat says, if you don't mind mentioning someone else's channel, someone you know did a button by button explanation of the panels. Ah, is that V1? I think V1 Simulations has done a detailed explanation of. Has he done all the panels? Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, V1 has some great videos on those. I prefer side stick. Yoke just gets in the way over the whole flight, but I don't mind flying. Actually, flying with either is fine, but yeah, I like having a side stick. John says, how does one get on the merchandise store? Exclamation mark store should bring you the link for it, I hope. Still no donuts, says .retro. No. Yeah, Thendril says streaming software lagging a bit usually means encoding slowly. Oftentimes just means processor is hitting its peak. Yeah, I think that's what's happening. I'm doing this all on one computer, and although it is a very fast computer, the processor is a little bit weak for Flight Simulator, because all processors are. I need one of those new Ryzens would be good, but my computer is based on Intel, so I can't have that. I might change it to an i9 at some point in the future, but I don't know if the difference would be worth it at this point. Jason says, totally enjoy your stream while revising my criminal law stuff. Never thought I'd be able to concentrate that much. Excellent. Matthew Presley says, then again, I've been told that the T-tail aircraft like the CRJ and Mad Dog are solid in a crosswind, so that probably adds to crosswind winniness here. Easiest crosswind plane I've flown. Really? That's interesting with the CRJ. I did not think that. Thanks, Matthew. Yeah. So, yeah, that's very interesting. I wonder why. I could believe it, though. Ruby Red 787 Pilot, thanks for coming. Ruby Red 787 Pilot says, good evening. How are you this fine evening in the UK? I'm doing well. It's a bit too cold in the UK. I would like it to be warmer by now. But yeah, thanks for coming along. Yo gets in the way of the tray table, says Lauren V. Exactly. Do we have a tray table yet? No. I'm looking forward to that. Cheekpoint says the hoodie is nice as well, but I still need one with a zipper. Ah, interesting. Okay. I'll have a look. C. Gonzalez says, don't you lose some situational awareness with that system? You only know what's directed to you. Good point, C. Gonzalez. Yeah, very good point. You're absolutely right. You don't hear what other aircraft are being told to do. So, yeah, you do. But it's not a huge amount. So you're absolutely right. You do lose some situational awareness. But what I would say is this system is not used low down. It's not used for sort of when you're being radar vectored onto an ILS, you won't be using this system. You'll be using the radio like normal. It's mostly used in the cruise like now, just for these sort of transit areas. So the situational awareness doesn't really change too much, because if you're sitting here and aircraft are checking in and going to certain waypoints, the chances are I don't know what that waypoint is. I don't know where they are because it's a big area. In the terminal area, when I'm being radar vectored to my approach, then yes, it's very important to be able to hear what's going on. But great question. Yeah. Tommaso says, hey, how are you? Just one of the more common questions. How much is it difficult to pass through the selection process in order to become a pilot? Obviously being interested in it and studying. Well, if you really want it and you put the effort in and you prepare and so on, no, it's certainly possible. Yeah, certainly. If you show that you're really keen and you've put the effort in, then they'll sense that. Tom Kawine, thank you so much for your $5 donation. Really appreciate it, Tom. Tom says, PTU barking dog noise. Thank you very much, Tom. Really appreciate the donation, and thanks for coming along. And thanks for supporting the channel. Very generous. And thank you to those who've liked the channel as well. Sorry, liked the video. But thank you, Tom. Really appreciate it. And I hope you're enjoying this one. Brandon says, I just learned to fly the CRJ and it's amazing. Can't stop flying it. Love how hands-on it is compared to the 320. Yeah, it's good fun. Anonymous, I hope you enjoy your mug. There's another mug gone. Excellent. Yeah, enjoy that. Thanks for supporting us through the merchandise. Warren Smith says, Eden Captain, just been scooting around in the BAE 146. Great fun. Thanks for your videos on it. Made it easier to get familiar with it. You're very welcome, Warren, and I'm glad they've helped. Yeah, it took me a while to get used to it, the 146. So, yeah, I'm glad the videos have helped you out. You've got to enjoy some of this view. Look at this. We need to also go onto the west coast and see the red. I agree. 33 JTM still awake. Excellent. 33 JTM says I wouldn't expect much benefit in upgrading at the moment. No, I'm going from an i7 to an i9. I don't think it'd make much difference. Oh, just dropped my pen on my keyboard. That's not good. Hi, Reese Palmer. Thanks for coming along. Hi, IS. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Lauren V, I agree. Hearing aircraft is most important on tower or approach frequencies. Yeah. Clouds are beautiful indeed. John found the store. Excellent news, John. Lauren V says, Task Manager always tells it's nowhere near maxing the CPU or GPU and still has some spare RAM, but also Microsoft Flight Simulator or even X-Plane sometimes will chug. Yeah, Task Manager isn't a very good scale for either your graphics card or your processor. The other thing with processors is, although the overall usage could be very low, it just takes one of the cores to be sort of running out of room, and then that's it, it all falls apart. Kuros says, hey Captain, love your vids. How do you usually calculate flight level when generating the flight plan? So, you let the flight plan do it usually. The computers at work will do it, or the airline's flight management system, flight planning system will do it. It might account for wind. It might be because certain airspace is busy, so there's no slots that you through at a certain flight level. All sorts of reasons. But we don't tend to do it ourselves. Yeah, just let the sim brief. If you use sim brief, that will give you a nice flight level usually. Pavel says, it took me 4 streams to find the store. Oh dear, Pavel. I'm glad you found it now. Maxim says, hi, love your videos and streams. They really helped me getting under the A320NX. Quick question, under what circumstances would you use managed climb over open climb? Managed climb is the same as open climb, basically, unless there's some restriction. So if you, by default, it will go into managed climb, where at the front it would say climb instead of open climb. That's what it normally says, and we ended up leaving it like that until we get some reason to change it to open climb, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's just the same. The airplane wants to climb at maximum climb thrust as quickly as possible. Well, not as quickly as possible, but at its chosen climb speed. So they're very similar, to be honest with you. Descent is a bit different. Reese says, great to see you back in the Airbus, teaching us so much. Really appreciate everything you're doing. You're very welcome, Reese. Yeah, it's been. I didn't realise how long it'd been since we've flown the Airbus on the channel, so we had to do it. It had to be done. Yeah, I agree, Dave. The view it's particularly nice today, isn't it? Let's sit up. Sometimes in the real airplane, sitting up a little bit higher makes all the difference. Then it gives you a much nicer view out. So you can raise the seats, little seat controls down there, and you can then see out a bit better. What's over on the right hand side? There you go. See, look at that. Way more to see. And you can you see the sharklet? Yeah, there you go. Just about. Let's try it. No, bit difficult, but there you go. Just glorious. Lauren V says, Transcontinental 350 or 757 in Australia is a must, but won't have Microsoft Flight Simulator graphics. I know, that's the problem I'm having. Might have to do a few more 320 ones. Spooky not hearing ATC, says Marcel. Yeah, agreed. Good question. Matamart says, are there any rules or guidelines for pilots when to let the passengers walk around? For example, wind speeds or angle of attack? Great, yeah. If it's turbulent, you're not going to let them walk around. If you're at a high angle of attack, you're not going to let them walk around. So, you know, if you're still climbing and you know your nose is going to go up and down, then you might not let them walk around. 10 degrees pitch. If you're above 10 degrees pitch, so below 10,000 feet, of course, then no, there's no point. It's too steep. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. 10 degrees though, it's not just that, it's also if we're still maneuvering, you know, so it does vary. Right, charts time. Let's start preparing. We left it way too late. I'm going to bring up the charts and force us to look at it properly. So let me just edit out the old ones. Close that. Let's show you guys the charts. So here's our route. So we took off from Melbourne and we're heading up to Gold Coast. Why are we going to the Gold Coast? So when I have been to Australia once, and I went from Melbourne to Sydney, which is a very, very popular. Is that what's called the Milk Run? But I saw in the airport signs to go to the Gold Coast, and I thought, wow, Gold Coast sounds nice. And then I looked it up and it sounds amazing. So the Gold Coast is a town. It's just south of Brisbane. Very close to Brisbane. Brisbane is the capital of the Queensland state. So Australia is divided into states like America, and they all seem to treat each other quite differently. And I was very surprised when I was there how different states are treated. So they're yeah, quite. You know, in the UK it's so small that the states don't, you know, the counties and so on don't really matter. It's not divided up. We have got the different countries: England, Scotland, Ireland. But yeah, so Queensland is the state we're in. We're going to the Gold Coast. Gold Coast is known for its surfing, its big city skyline. It looks a bit like Miami in a sense, I think. It's got theme parks and rainforests and beautiful, beautiful beaches, which is why it's so known for its surfing. Big, strong winds and big waves. It looks incredible. If I go back to Australia, I really want to go there. And it looks great fun. It's just, yeah, absolutely brilliant. So it's the ancestral home of the indigenous, and let me get the name right, Ugambe people. In 1823 was when the Europeans first arrived. So Australia, you know, lots of these towns haven't been around for long. So that area was first arrived by an explorer in 1823. It wasn't until the 1980s that it's really boomed into what it is today. Big sort of movie and film area for the Australians as well. Average air temperature in April, 22.2 degrees. Although I should have checked the May temperature, probably a bit hotter by now. So it's a bit of a subtropical sort of climate. So really, really nice. So yeah, I'd love to go. Big white sandy beaches, big town. Theme parks. I mean, yeah, brilliant. However, the reason we didn't go there is that Australia has so much wildlife and nature to offer. There's just too much to see. So there you go. I think that must be Brisbane up there. I'm imagining. Yep, there it is. But we're down here, so we're going to the Gold Coast here. Or is it here? There it is. So, expected arrival. Let's just have a look. What was it supposed to be? We're going by Burnie to land on runway 14, Sudley runway. Oh, we got the same problem. Same problem here. Look at all these charts. Way too many. And it's pretty hard to see. Let's type it in. Ah, oh, not even found. This. Have I got the wrong waypoints? Let me just check. What have I read wrong? Burnie 1 Victor. This is just, yeah, amazing. So we're coming in from the south. We do know that. I feel like I must have missed something really obvious. Where on earth has it gone? Have any of you had better luck? Is it hidden on another chart? Is it just a transition? Look at all these charts. Unbelievable. Ah! Solved. Yeah. Solved. Right, I take it back. That's Melbourne. Melbourne has too many charts. We knew that already. Ah, it's much better. So it's not an Australia thing. It must just be a Melbourne thing. Here we go. Oh dear. Right, Gold Coast charts, much better. And there's so few. This is what I like to see. So we're doing the Burnie 1 Victor. So let's pin that one. We're going to come up from Burnie, zoom up. Yeah, totally lost there, wasn't I? Looking at it, where was the sea? It was all in the wrong place. And then an ILS Zulu. So that's going to bring us round to Ibrods. This takes us to Kerry, Sailor, Nikki, and then there's a bit of a visual transition. Well, we can just visually bring ourselves around and fly the ILS. Unusual though. I'm a little surprised at that arrival. It doesn't seem to link up. Let me just see if there's not an IFR one that we're expected to fly. Because there is a Burnie 1 Yankee which takes us to Kerry. And a 1 Alpha. Okay, again. Ah, there we go. It's going to be the 1 Alpha, isn't it? Yeah, that's more likely. So the Burnie 1 Alpha to take us to Kagan and then into Earpod. Yeah. With a bit of either a DMER. Quite unusual that. This is why we're trying to do this. We're trying to fly in a few different places. Pick up a few different ideas. How far away are we? 200 miles to go. Good. We're doing alright. We're doing alright. Good stuff. Oh look, if able to contact Gold Coast on ATC on telephone. Fantastic. Yeah, good idea. If you lost communications. Right, taxi. There we go. More normal charts. Quite a short runway here. So, what's the landing distance on runway 14? Runway 14. Landing beyond the threshold. Note 5. Angle 3. Sorry, note 6. Aircraft above 136 tons. Landing runway 14 must roll through an exit via taxiway kilo. Yeah, we're not worried about that. What is the actual distance? Just a takeoff run available. Landing beyond the threshold, it doesn't even say. Very strange. Anyway, 2,000 meters beyond the glide slope, so plenty of room, plenty of room. So let's bring up the last bit, which is the parking. There we go. Right, so vectoring in, no problems with the terrain. Mateo Chewy, good evening. Thanks for coming along. I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for coming and moderating. You've just missed a very embarrassing moment where everybody else knew what was going on. Oh dear. Yeah, we haven't had a group flight in a while. Aviation Forever, good point. I need to plan one. Yeah, hopefully soon. You're a bit colder now as Australia heads into winter. Oh, very good point, Vamraj. Yeah, sorry, it's getting colder, of course. Yeah, gotta get used to that. Right. Matthew says, that's my first non-revenue destination post-COVID, Australia. Yeah, I agree, Matthew. Great choice. Okay, I've missed a whole load of things in the chat there, guys. I do apologise. Yeah, I'm sorry. But anyone with more questions, do feel free to put it into Discord later. Thanks, John. I'm glad you enjoyed the channel. So, am I looking at the right chart still, or is this wrong?
I don't see an app called
Oh, that's my Apple Watch trying to talk to me. Yeah, no, this is the right airport, isn't it? Right, anyway. Oh dear, see, it's so difficult when it's not everything I'm used to. Arrival, IS-14 Zulu, let's keep that simple. We don't want to make our lives difficult. We said Bernie 1 Alpha. There's no buyers available. Insert. Oof, right, so now we'll go to plan. Let's get rid of the charts. Oh, goodness me. I'm not going to show you those charts anymore. They've been on the screen for far too long as I struggle my way through. Plan, zoom right in. Let's scroll through, up and around. There it goes. AirPods, Regom, and that is going to be. We're going to start our descent. Oh, at Regom we should already be down at 1,400 feet. Yeah. So. Okay. No, I need to show you a few more things on the chart, just so it makes sense to you guys. So, no terrain issue as we descend over the sea. That's great. So we'll get a nice view of the city, I'm hoping, as we'll come in near it. Although actually it looks like the main city is a bit further north. So we might extend our flight a little bit, make sure we see it, hopefully. Missed approach, track 139, so straight ahead, climb to 3,000, lovely and easy. Transition altitude 10,000 feet in the climb. So level will be transition level 110 to 125, depending on QNH. There you go, it says there. 3,000 MSA on the right. Surprised it's so high, but there you go. So yeah, we'll watch out for that as we descend in. Minima is conditional. See this? And somebody did ask about the minima. They said, why is it different between actual aero QNH and the forecast terminal QNH? So, if you're in a smaller regional airport, you might find that the QNH isn't being reported so much. So, what I'm imagining this is, and I don't know for sure, I don't fly here obviously, is that they don't always have their own weather station. If they don't have their own weather station, then they won't know the QNH at the airport exactly, in which case you need to adjust your minima because it's using the forecast area. Terminal usually means a larger sort of area, QNH. So it's a forecast, it's not as accurate. So that's why the minima is raised to account for the fact it could be a few feet out. It's very unusual, never seen that written down before, but that would be my guess as to why the minima changes. So you'll see that it's higher, so we can't fly quite as low because we don't quite know as perfectly accurately how high we should be. Or where the minima will go off. That's the reason for it. Yep, I'm imagining. Dog Retro, off to work now. Have a good flight and happy landing. Thanks, Dog Retro. See you soon. Thanks for coming along. Yeah, so that's basically our plan for the arrival, guys. We'll check it tunes in as we come in a bit later. We can't circle to the west of the runway, quite obviously. Use charts for today's excuses. Yeah, the charts have messed me up. Exactly. Mateo says, tomorrow I finally have that 2-hour session in the 320 full sim in Glasgow. Great birthday treat. I'm going to have some fun in Rome Ciampino. Excellent, Mateo. Yeah, enjoy that. That'll be great. Yeah, you'll have to put some pictures up on Discord. I'd be curious to see it. Yeah. Yeah, so someone said, can we put pictures on Discord? Yeah, there's a spotters area, but exchanging photos, it depends what they're about. But there are quite a few categories for sort of non-aviation chat and so on. So hopefully you can do that. Danny Rubel, thank you so much again, Danny, for supporting us with your $2 donation. Really appreciate it, Danny. Danny says, excuses for today. We got the wrong charts, but we should be fine. Yeah, exactly. We'll go with the charts. I think that's been confusing enough for us. Relatively short runway today. Thank you, Danny, for your donation. Really appreciate it. And thanks for supporting the channel so much. Runways, I mean, it's relatively... Let's come off at Delta. So I'm going to give it medium auto brake. Idle reverse. Should be absolutely fine. Warm up those brakes. See what let's have a look at those temperatures. Deep Future says Burn 1 Victor. Yeah, so we go with Burn 1 Alpha. Okay. Right, you guys definitely picked up on the charts thing before I did. Victor Tango, I'm so sorry if Victor Tango's already gone. Victor Tango's off for dinner. So he's going to watch the rest of the stream later on. Thanks for the stream. You're very welcome, Victor Tango. Enjoy your dinner. I'm sorry, I'm always streaming over Victor Tango's dinner. And usually Dougal's as well. Watch out for the sharks. Yeah, that's true. We'll be flying right over the sea with the most fantastic wildlife in it. Takis says, just got in. Hello, Captain. Have a nice flight. Greetings from the island of Crete. Good to see you, Takis. And yeah, thanks for coming. Just starting our descent soon. Fesix Germany, good to see you. Fesix says, just tuned in and realised it's been a long time since I joined the stream. Yeah, great to have you back. Thanks for coming along. So, minima. We need to enter that minima. That is a great point, having talked about it so much. So we said that there's the different ones. Terminal forecast. Well, we don't have the accurate QNH. What we're going to do is go... Let's print out a weather. There's no 80s because there's no air traffic there. So we'll just do, again, our METAR. So we'll get that, but then we're going to use the higher minima, basically. There it is. Print. The YBCG. QNH is 1021. So nice and high. So well, we could probably count that as an accurate one, but let's just use it. Let's be more conservative. We know the weather's good enough, so we're going to use 330 as the minima. 330. Right, let's grab our printouts. QNH 1021. Temperature 18. Wind 2005. Transition altitude about 11,000 feet today. High QNH, so the range they gave was between 110 and 125, with the high QNH probably the lowest one. Flatful landing, VAP 127 seems reasonable. Put in our minima. If we go around, we're going to climb to 3,000 feet. So put that in there. Oh, no, not 30,000, 3,000. Good, so the flight plan is set up with the arrival. Radnav is going to tune a bit later. 111.1 is the correct frequency though, so that's looking promising. We'll check it. I know there's been some trouble with this tuning and not tuning properly. So we do need to check that later on. Progress page, we'll just put in the runway threshold, YBCG, Coast Gold, and then we're going to be on runway 14. Thank you so much, Paddy. Thank you for your dancing pair. Thank you, Paddy. Paddy's put in a lot of effort on the channel, done some fantastic liveries, including most recently an F14 livery, which is just stunning. And I've been flying around in DCS, working on getting DCS back, and I've had some great help from Alexander Beck, who's been working away with me as well on a mission. So I'm looking forward to that one. But thank you for that livery, Paddy. Really appreciate it. And thank you very much for your €5 donation. Very kind. And the dancing pair had to arrive. So thank you. And yeah, very generous. Thank you, Paddy. Thanks for being such a part of the channel and the community. Pateo says, I have had a look at the changes in the A319 with the latest update. The MCDU has so many improvements. Can't wait to see the same for the 321. Would you buy the 319? Yeah, 319 is a possibility. Yeah, but if they bring it to the 321, it's probably not going to be much different to look at for you guys. But yeah, thank you again, Paddy, for your donation. Really appreciate it. And thanks for coming along again today. Progress page is good. Yeah, absolutely agreed. Zephyr says, do you still enter a decision altitude even in a precision approach in the Airbus? Yeah, well, we'd do either or. So we're going to enter the Barrow today. We could do radio. That's decision or minimum descent altitude, radio decision height. They've changed the format in here, and this is what I mean about the study level thing. This format's different. This is actually a 321 NEO sort of format with this OSF written like that. It just varies. That there's so many different formats for the MCDU. There are actually 2 brands as well in the older Airbuses. It's getting really turbulent here. So if it's getting turbulent like this and we're getting near our top of descent, we might consider just starting our descent just to try and get out of the turbulence. There's no obvious reason. 50 knots of wind isn't that a bit shocking. How far are we from our airport? 120 miles. So we're at a pretty typical descent point with a bit of a tailwind, but we have got to go past the airport. So 3.4 tons of fuel is looking good for our arrival. Lauren V says airport may only be towered days, summers, and not able to provide on-site weather. This seems like it might be that kind of airport. Yeah, maybe in the winter it's too quiet, so they don't use it. People just go to Brisbane instead. Could be that. Yeah. Ricardo would like MCDU constraints on the center monitor. There we go. Constraints, sort of thing we do for the descent. So that shows us nicely what the plane is expecting to fly, but we know that VNAV doesn't work, so. And we've got no air traffic control, so we'd imagine we don't have to follow them. Although you would in real life if there was no air traffic anyway. The CG in YBCG actually means Coolangatta, the location of the airport. There we go. Thanks very much. Excellent. Great. Thanks, 33 JTM, and thanks for staying awake. That's great. Great piece of knowledge. Richie Reese says, welcome to my hometown. Fantastic. That's awesome. Ed Haslam says, did a parachute jump over the Gold Coast a few years ago and took a flight in a Twin Otter over the Great Barrier Reef. Happy days. Fantastic. Yeah, the Great Barrier Reef I have been to. Spectacular, amazing, incredible. That's where I did my diving. A little bit of diving. Very lucky to have done that. Albapino says, hello from France. Cheese and wine as usual. Excellent. Enjoy. Scrub says, I'm a complete noob to flight simulators. Thanks for explaining everything so well. By far the best flight sim channel out there. Very kind. Thank you, Scrub. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming along. Miku says, would the seatbelt signs go on? Absolutely. Let's do it. There you go. Yeah. If you're looking at the PFD and you're seeing the speed go like that, the chances are the turbulence is too rough to have passengers walking around. Benjamin says, the vast majority of A320 add-ons simulate the Toliss FMGC. Fly-by-wire does Honeywell, which is unique. Yeah, there you go. So there's the two different brands, Honeywell and Toliss. Thanks, Benjamin. Very minor differences, but you'd be surprised how much that trips up pilots when you swap them between the two, when they get so used to certain sequences. Glenn says, used to play footy for Coolangatta. Great place. Fantastic. I mean, Australia is just brilliant. If you guys... So I went on to... I usually go onto Wikipedia for these little sort of facts and bits of information. And when you do it for Australia, you just see all the pictures of the city and the beach and the water and the rainforest, and it's just amazing. And you just go, oh, wow. Lucky people. Ed did some riding on the reef. Fantastic, Ed. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Lauren Reed says, might still be a lovely place to visit in winter. Australians and Floridians start to wear coats if it gets too much below 20 degrees Celsius. Yeah. There is an ILS in YBCG indeed onto runway 14. Danny Rubel. Yep. Aaron says, can you tell me how do I set takeoff trim based on center of gravity? Yeah, simply go to the fuel prediction page, see your CG in there. That's your gross weight CG. That's your CG at that current weight. It's 30.5. So I would just set the trimmer here to 30.5. So you can see it's got numbers on this side. Ignore that and go to this side, and it has the actual CG. So 17, 20, and wind that until that's 30.5 is next to this little arrow here. And that's it. What will be a top of descent calculation? Let's have a look at the remaining track miles. I've probably gone right over it. 120 miles from now, let's start our descent. So I think we have our first restriction is 9,000. I'm not sure if that is an actual star restriction. I don't trust the coding here at all. We've got to be above 9,000 at Eldux. So yeah, 9,000 it is. 9,000. Thrust side open descent. I'd normally let the airplane just do this in managed descent. I wouldn't bother having to do it myself. I'd just check that it's roughly working out. And then that's below the transition. So let's go to QNH 1021. Let me just double check that. Written down here. 1021. Excellent news. Down we go. Captain Matty says hello from the USA. Hello. Thanks for coming along. You're welcome, Aaron. Real Irish Man says hi from Ireland. Thanks for coming, Real Irish Man. Lauren V says, had a potential offer to live and work in Townsville years back. Kind of regret not seriously pursuing it. Yeah, imagine living and working in Australia. I mean, it'd be incredible. Matthias said, did a flight from Gatwick to Edinburgh yesterday in the Citation. Excellent. I hope it went well. Matthias says that it's the 1.6 of the 319 that Toliss have done. There we go. Yeah, very good. Thank you all for coming along. If you're enjoying the video, do please hit the like button. Makes a big difference to the channel. Helps YouTube save us from the depths of the algorithm. Lauren V says, the VNAV coding still likes to code all restrictions as below on descent and above on climb. It's really annoying. Yeah, it's just not telling us anything useful at the moment, is it? Yeah. Yeah, Matteo Chewy does some great tutorials on the Zebo mod as well as the 350 and now on the Airbuses as well. So there's loads of great content on Matteo Chewy's channel, including the 350 for those of you who have recently got that for X-Plane. Yeah, really great. I used it before I flew the 350. Nimir says, Bud, I have to go. See you tomorrow. And I'll see you in a few minutes. Not sure, but if you're heading off, Nimir, thanks for coming along. And yeah, see you soon. Rishi Ray says, do pilots change the measurement units when flying to different countries, QNH speed? You might have to convert it. It depends on the airline procedures as to whether you're going to actually change it over in here. So you might, if they were clearing us to descend to 9,000 feet on QFE, we might convert that to QNH or actually set QFE. That would depend on the airline. Yeah. Yep. Michael89 says, you already set your QNH. I did indeed. Sorry, I've had to have an in-flight snack, but it's not a Viennese well today. Something slightly different. We're mixing it up today. Yeah, so why have I already set QNH? So we're going to set the QNH because I'm cleared to descend to 9,000 feet. So I don't want to be on standard because I'll just forget it later. As soon as you're cleared to that altitude, you can set it. There's no point waiting, because if I waited till I was all the way down at 11,000 feet, you know, there's just a short period for me to remember to do it before I could actually bust my altitude. So yeah, as soon as you're cleared to it, that's when you'd set the QNH. Tolga says, I was watching your landing videos, noticed you're live. I'm so glad I discovered you today. Happy flying. Thanks so much, Tolga. I hope you enjoy the videos. Yeah, there's loads and loads of videos on the channel now. Dougal says, I only got to visit Oz once with work. Would love to go back as civvy. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, can't recommend it enough. It's the takeoff weight CG for setting the trim iron for your takeoff. Is 3,500 feet per minute descent rate normal? Absolutely. Yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. Turtle Kayak, good to see you. Turtle Kayak says, first stream I've caught in a while. Yeah, we haven't done many, but thanks for coming along, Turtle Kayak. Good to see you here again. Open and managed descent, Mike, it's not really simulated in here, so it's a bit hard. But open descent means it will go to idle thrust and then fly this speed here. So if I wanted to go down faster, I would actually increase that speed and the nose will drop. The thrust will stay at idle, and it controls the airplane speed by raising or lowering the nose. In a managed descent, it will just fly along the pre-calculated profile, and it will try and do that at idle thrust, but it won't always manage. However, it will fly a really nice, generally continuous descent as best it can, and it will take into account these constraints. However, these constraints are unrealistic, so we're going to ignore them. That's the problem with the coding. Definitely through a little layer of cloud there. Let's get the engine anti-ice on, just in case then we're picking up a little bit of ice. Richie Ray says, don't forget to check out the surfers on the sea during the approach. Yeah, I'm excited to see the town. I hope we get to see it because it is to the north of the airport. Michael says, when will you decelerate? I always use vertical speed to descend. Yeah, vertical speed's fine, but it's not. Airbus pilots won't use it, especially early on. If I wanted to specifically descend slowly, I might use vertical speed, but if I want to descend quickly, I'll use open or managed descent. Yeah, I'm looking. VNAV would be great to see. Yeah, absolutely. Here's that coast. Fantastic. Love it, love it, love it. This is great fun. It's quite nice to do this without air traffic control for the first time because it's just giving us a chance to get used to being in Australia. So we're going to have to do a bit more cruising around. I'll have to do a stream at a more sensible time for Australians as well, so they can come along live. Lucky passengers arriving in the Gold Coast. And when I saw all the on the departure board, all the Gold Coast flights, it's just, I was so jealous. But don't get me wrong, Sydney was fantastic too. Klaus says, do you also use the airframe de-ice before you get a warning? So, engine anti-ice we'll use as long as we're in icing conditions, which is below 10 degrees total air temperature and moisture outside, unless it's below minus 40 and we're in the climb or cruise. That's just to confuse things. The wing anti-ice, or the airframe anti-ice, remember it only does these outboard 3 slats here. It's all it does. It doesn't do anything to the tail. It doesn't do anything to these slats. It amazes me still that that's the case, but that's how it is. We don't need to turn that on unless we see we have ice build up. So you might see that along the leading edge. These aircraft don't pick up a lot of ice. It's quite rare. It is possible, but it's rare. They just pick up a little bit along the front. From the flight deck, I can't actually see that wing, especially the 20 and the 21. And the 19 you can see a bit more, so that's about all I can see. So you might just about see a little line along there, but it's not a lot. It's not very reliable. You have a little stick there, so you look at that and check if there's ice on the front of that. And if there is, then we know there's probably ice on the front of the wing. If there was, then we would turn on the wing anti-ice. Now I'm out of the ice, so I can turn off the engine anti-ice, but you might find you get here and you go, is there any ice? Oh yeah, we picked up a bit of ice. So then you'll just turn on the wing anti-ice and just sort of melt it off. Likewise, it's, if the temperature goes to +5 on the front of the airplane, it'll probably melt off pretty quickly anyway. Now the warning that we see, this little system here saying ice not detected, that I haven't seen that. It's a rare system to have on the Airbus. That's an automated sensor, and the Airbus just doesn't have it. We usually just look for it. They just don't see it as being as much of an issue in this as some slower aeroplanes. In the Dash 8, there was a sensor that would warn you when you had ice, and then you had to do the appropriate things. Yeah, it's quite interesting, really. So how many miles have we got to go? 47 miles. How much altitude have we got? We need about 45, 48, plus 58. So we're a tiny bit high. So let's pull the speed and go down a little bit faster. Let's go down to 300 knots. And here's the coast. Ditching button video games with Cole. The ditching button closes up all the sort of holes on the outside of the airplane below the waterline. Famously known about, usually from the Hudson, the Miracle on the Hudson. So below the waterline, you've got things like pack inlets and outlets. You've got air conditioning valves for the avionics cooling up at the front there. I love this livery, just great. Further back, you've got the outflow valve, which sadly isn't modelled in the A320 and Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's not modelled in many of them, actually, but it's quite a noticeable part of the airplane when you do the walk around. The outflow valve would be back here. The problem is it seals up the airplane a bit, so you have to be careful. If you press it by accident, it will actually overpressure the airplane if you've still got all your air coming in from the air conditioning packs. So if we do use that button for de-icing. When we de-ice, it's in the checklist to press that so that we can stand by. I'll just be with you guys back in a sec.
Gold Coast traffic, Jetstar 432, runway vacated.
Sorry about that, guys. Just sorting a couple of things out. Right, yeah, well, I can't remember what I was talking about now. When do you put 250 knots selected during the descent? So in theory, 250 knots below 10,000 feet, unless air traffic lets you go faster. So we're going to carry on. We're going to imagine they let us go a bit faster. And here we go. I think that's the Gold Coast up there. So it doesn't look like we're going to reach it. There's the runway. We may have to extend our downwind a little bit. Let's zoom in on here. This is on Ultra Graphics Scrub, yeah. And as it says, so if you have an approach profile with a step descent, how do you then ensure that you keep the engine speed up in order not to be caught with not enough power in case you need it? So at this point in the flight, it can't happen. We can go to flight idle now and we'll get enough power back. It's lower down that we want to keep the engine spooled up, usually when we're configured with flaps and landing gear. Yeah. Reese Palmer likes delivery. Yeah, I agree. I absolutely love it. Okay, there's speed and outs. So we're getting to the point now, really, of running the approach checklist. So briefing is confirmed, decam status is checked. Let me bring up the chart. We just need to make sure that it does tune it properly shortly. Does it have a collocated DME? ILS DME, it does indeed, and it's a normal 3-degree descent. Just making sure all the basics are in place. Good stuff. ECAM status is checked. That is all looking good. Let's continue our descent now. So we can descend to... By AgTech, we need to be below 6,000, so we're going to sail over that one. Ah, and here it goes. It's getting a bit confused now. Anyway. Thrust open descent, we want to be below 6,000, so I'm going to put the speed brakes out now and let it dive down. Let's go down to 5,000. And MSA in this area is actually 4,600, so yeah, we'll go down to 5,000 feet and then we'll slow down. And we will get very quick descent. There's those spoilers. Not all of them come up, actually. The flight spoilers aren't that many, and you only get half deflection in the 320 whilst the autopilot is engaged. So the speed brakes in the 320 NEO in Microsoft Flight Simulator, including with the A32NX, a little bit unrealistic still. You'd only get half deflection until you disconnected the autopilot. In the 321 and 319, you get full deflection straight away. It's to do with the handling of the airplane. Let's turn on the ILS on both sides. Oh. Let's give the cabin crew a ding so they know what's going on. Let's get those landing lights on. Might be tempted to wait until we're a bit slower. There'll be a bit of a rumble now. And let's go on to a heading so that it doesn't mess us up, and let's fly ourselves downwind. So let's do that. Okay, there's 6,000 feet, bringing the speed brakes in, and let's manage the speed. It's activated the approach phase, so we can do seatbelts on. Barra ref is on QNH 1021. MDA, we've got 330 barra set, and engine mode selector is to norm. Reese Palmer, you're very welcome. We are a long way out. There it is. Yay, we're going to see it. Excellent. Oh, this is a great approach. Yeah. There's the Gold Coast. Look at that. Pretty cool. And then there's roller coasters and water parks and so on in the back there. And then there's fantastic rainforest. Oh, this is cool. And there's a rainbow. Look at that. It all comes together. Oof. I didn't want it to lag for pressing that. Fantastic. Looks like the first officer's going to join us just in time to... She's going to complain when I have to move my rudder pedals. Hello? Hello? There you go. The request has been made. She is now joining us, finally, for the flight. Where are the kangaroos? Yeah.
Traffic, Qantas A32NX, intercepting ILS runway 14, 15 miles.
Fantastic. Right. Look at that descent rate. Come on, aeroplane, you can do it. Let's pull vertical speed now. I want to control my descent a bit better. Has it tuned properly? If I go to RadNav, India Charlie Golf 111.1. So the tuning seems to be good now. It seems to be a bit more automatic. I like that. They seem to fix that. Yeah, that's all identified. And there's that ridiculously stunning beach. Look at that. Only in Australia. Oh, there's an aeroplane in front. We're following. Fantastic. That's great. Don't forget record. Thanks, David. Great point. Let me bring that up. Yeah, excellent. Right. I don't know why this wheel page is stuck on. That must be a bug at the moment. I don't think I've pressed anything up here. The wheels are up. So go down to 5,000 feet now. We're going to inset the ILS from a bit lower. Let's start bringing it left. Let's try and follow that traffic in. Effectively flying this arc. 200 knots, pretty slow. There's the traffic in front. So visually separating from them. Let's start getting down to our next altitude, which is going to be 2,500 feet where we'll inset the ILS from. So we'll keep it in vertical speed and keep descending. 5,000 feet now. Airport's 15 miles away. So that means we're perfectly on profile. So I need to do a pretty normal descent from here to maintain the 3-degree glide slope. Skyline is pretty big. Yeah, it's amazing. One of the buildings here was the tallest residential building in the world, but that's changed now. Yeah, look at that. That's cool. I didn't realise the approach took us right overhead. That's great fun. Cat approach, Mr. Johnson, very good. So, look at that. That looks like a theme park to me. A water park of some variety. Or a resort. Oh, can you imagine landing here where the only thing you can see out the window is fantastic beaches. Let's turn left now, get onto our intercept. Theme parks, rainforest. Oh, glorious. Let's put out that first stage of flap. There we go, flaps 1. Gold Coast traffic, Qantas 272, intercepting the ILS runway 14 at 14 miles. Right, oh, better jump back in the flight deck and actually arm the approach. So you see now we're bang on that profile. There's the city. Look at that, that's so cool. Arm the approach. Traffic in front is slowing down. So, oh yeah, there they are. Right, we need to slow down. That's not good. So let's pull the speed. Let's bring the speed right back. I'm going to have to come back to my final approach speed now. So let's put the gear down. That's how you do it. Air traffic sometimes does this. They'll ask now. Let's go to flaps 2. Let's go to manage speeds. I've got full speed breakout. Sit back in our seat. We can see if it intercepts that ILS properly. We are really close. And there's that coast. That's so cool. Right, glide slope style, lock star. Flaps coming to 3. I won't use any more flap because if I put out flap full now, although I'll get the extra drag, I'll lose the speed brakes in the real aeroplane anyway. So what I'll do is let it get a bit slower. Now I'll retract the speed brakes and go to flap full. And we're now fully established. Let's put the going altitude of 3,000 in. There it is. And hopefully the traffic in front is doing 160 knots. They'll get away from us. And there's the runway. And there's the Gold Coast. That's awesome. Right, let's hit record. I've not landed here in real life video games with Cole. Yeah, I wish I had. One cat ILS, exactly. Game is incredible, isn't it? Yeah, replay's recording. Thanks, guys. And there we go. Power coming on. Oh, the first officer's leaving. There we go. This is a great approach. Just so cool.
Traffic, Qantas 878. Just be advised we will vacate the runway as soon.
Okay, they're vacating the runway in front. Where are they vacating? I didn't quite hear that one. I think they said as soon as possible, perhaps. Surfers along the beach. Yeah, are there any down there? There's a radio altimeter. Oh, look, these people even have swimming pools that live here. Unbelievable. Imagine living imagine living there and you've got the sea and you've got your own swimming pool. What a life. What a life. Subtropical climate. You live on that beach and you have a swimming pool. It's great for sort of nosying in other people's houses in Microsoft Flight Simulator, just letting you know how other people live. I think we're getting a bit of space now. A little bit hard to tell. We'll just keep it nice and slow. Is there any traffic behind us? That's the real question. I think we were... No, we weren't last out. Can't see anyone. Again, in aviation, never worried about the airplanes behind me. That's their problem. Slide open the window and take in that nice sea air. You could do. It would work. You could slide it open below 200 knots. We never would. They're reducing now, so fingers crossed this works out. Otherwise, we'll be going around. Straight ahead to 3,000 feet. Vector ourselves back around. Jonathan Blood says, I think this has been one of my fave landings. Yeah, let's hope the landing goes well. But yeah, the approach is stunning. I'm really glad we came here. Really glad we came. Plenty of sharks in those canals, says Glenn. Yeah, there you go. Max Flies Planes, good to see you. Thanks for coming. Right, landing checklist. Cabin is secured. Auto thrust is in speed mode. Go around altitude 3,000 feet set. Eco memo landing. No blue. Not quite. Been too busy chatting. Last of the lights on. That's the risk of configuring early, so you forget the sort of the basics. Right, eco memo landing, no blue. That is the landing checklist complete. So excuses, we've got 200 feet left. Yeah, the charts messed us up. Tight spacing on the airplane in front. We'll pretend that's an excuse. And it's been a while. So fingers crossed. Exactly, E-Boss. Yeah, we don't have a rear view mirror, so we're not fast. Nice headwind for the final approach, 13 knots. Checkpoint. I think I'm done with all the taxiway signs at Schiphol. Didn't expect there to be so many. Wow, well done, Checkpoint. Yeah, there are incredibly complicated airport, that one. Look at this bay. Can you imagine what sort of wildlife and cool things there are going on down here every day? Oh, wow. I'd love to be a pilot in Australia who gets to come here and stay for the night. And Gold Coast traffic, Qantas 272, final approach to land, runway 14, 2 miles. Okay, let's see what happens. Go around is looking more and more likely. No problem if there is. That's our fault.
$500, $300.
Bit of turbulence. Let's see what happens. Alright, if we need it, we'll call go around flaps. We'll push the thrust levers forward to toga. And then we'll bring in one stage of flap, pitch those up on the positive climb, bring the gear up. Just try and get my feet in the right place. Right, autopilot's coming off. Here we go then. Traffic's done an amazing job. Well done. Thank you. So yeah, all good.
300.
Now it's just my job to get it right. That was a really, really nice. And that's the sort of spacing you get in really busy airports. 2.5 miles is quite normal. Thanks very much. Brilliant. Yeah, they did a great job. Right. Oops, sinking a bit low there. Keep it driving towards the middle of the touchdown zone.
40, 30, 20, 10.
Idle thrust levers.
5.
Hold the nose. There's touchdown. Get the reversers out. Oh, that rudder. And we'll let the auto brake do its work. Oh, fantastic. And now, off to the beach. No messing around here. Well, we've definitely missed that exit, so we'll release those brakes and roll it along. 70 knots, reversers are at idle. Got the replay running, so we can go and take a look at that shortly. Right, here we go. Let's get on those brakes. Still doing 50 knots, and we'll vacate left here. So, welcome to the Gold Coast. I wish I'd heard that, PA. So let's go forward idle on the reverse. and vacate here. Fantastic. That was brilliant fun. It's great to, I'm so glad we finally started to stretch our legs a bit on this channel. It's taken us a year. But the reason I'm happy doing it is just because, firstly, I like doing it, but also you guys have been so enthusiastic and so much fun with it that I do enjoy taking the challenge.
Runway 14, 4 miles.
There we go. And Qantas 272 Gold Coast traffic runway is vacated and clear. There we go. So they can now come in and land. Let's get rid of our ground spoilers. Oh no, we're not. Yeah, we're going to leave the flaps out. You guys know why, because we're going to do our replay shortly. Thanks, Simon. Sounds like landing went all right, which is all we need. But yeah, forget the landing in airplanes. We're parking up and we're getting down to that beach. Unbelievable. Yeah, I want to go on holiday. I agree. The swimming pools probably didn't have great white sharks in them, though, says Andy. Yeah, that is a good point. I remember where we went up, and a lot of the ocean you weren't allowed to swim in for 2 reasons. It was either jellyfish or crocodiles. Saltwater crocodiles were a particular concern. So they actually, we were on the 4 Mile beach up north in Australia. We'll head there in a stream soon. And you weren't allowed to swim except in a very small area. There's 4 miles of beach, or was it 5 miles? I can't remember how many miles it was. Miles and miles of beautiful tropical beach, and you weren't allowed in the water because all there was around was saltwater crocodiles and jellyfish. Yeah, I do remember that. Right, so normally we do our after landing flow and so on, but you guys know we're not going to do that for obvious reasons. So here we are parked up. Welcome to the Gold Coast. Please do enjoy your stay. Let us jump into the drone. Let's see if we can do it in time for this landing. We might not make that. We're going to be really quick here. I don't have my normal drone camera plugged in. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Always nice when it works out. Perfect. There we go. Colleagues have made it in as well. Fantastic. So thank you to the those of you who've flown along. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it. Something a bit different on the channel. Let's put this back into our wing view. It's nice when we have VATSIM to ourselves. I do enjoy it. So we're going to disconnect from VATSIM then, guys. And let us jump into the replay. So let's do stop recording. Replay. Pause. So let's take an outside view. So I think that one worked out right, really. Not a lot to say. It's yeah, just a bit of a float as usual. So you've got to be careful with that. Thanks, Dougal. Thanks for coming along. I'm glad you enjoyed it. See you next time. And yeah, thank you all. So thank you all for coming along. Thank you to those very kind moderators for taking the time to come and moderate for us. Look at those elevators. Thank you to the yeah, moderators. Thank you to everyone who's just come along and chatted. Thank you to those who've just watched at home. Really appreciate it. If you have enjoyed the stream, do hit the like button. It makes a big difference to the channel, and we really appreciate it. There we go. I must get the drone camera set up next time. I can only apologise. I do enjoy it. We'll obviously go for a passenger view replay in a second. So there's our view over the threshold, into the flare. Held it there. And there's a touchdown. Yeah, can't complain at that. And then the sensitive rudder, as usual. But yeah, so thank you all so much. Thank you to those who very kindly donated towards the channel. I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot. Thank you to those who've also picked up the merchandise. I hope you enjoy it. It's yeah, it's good fun. I do like the merchandise. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. And thank you just for everyone just watching along, just chatting and enjoying it. We'll have more live streams soon. There'll be more this week than there were last week. I'm going to make sure of it. And we'll also have more videos coming very soon on the channel. So let us bring up the outro music. There we go. Thank you for watching. Outro music coming on. And again, thanks for the very kind donations, for watching, for chatting, for moderating, for flying along. See you again in another video or live stream soon. Do keep safe and well. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.